And we're live. Christian, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what you do?
Sure. I'm Christian Eli. I'm a filmmaker. I run pretty much a commercial video production company that serves people and companies with product or services to sell. So I'm a husband, follower of Jesus, and a few other things, but that's pretty much it.
Wow, nice. What kind of projects are you working on right now?
I'm working mostly on fostering long-term relationships with companies. I spent a long time finding new clients every time I had a project, kind of like one-and-done projects, which was a lot of fun. I got to learn a lot of things about just a lot of totally different industries, but now I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I really do love the aspect of just developing these long-term relationships with people. I think over the years I've really gotten to figure out how to serve people best, who have the right budget in place, which seems to just be like a specific set of people. And so just trying to find those people and continue to work with those people for years to come. So, yeah.
So you're looking to, like, instead of having 100 customers, let's just say you're looking at like a solid 20.
Yeah, shoot. I mean, honestly, that's so many still. I would say probably like the sweet spot would be like less than 10. Okay. Honestly. Yeah. Right now I have 3 like long-term retainer clients, and that's like a full-time job.
Wow.
So, yeah.
3, you said?
Jeez.
And that's the number you're trying to grow with larger clients, is retainer clients.
Yeah, honestly, if I could just convince these 3 different companies to just do more work, like I would be just as happy.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
Makes sense.
I think that's cool. How did you get into it?
Shoot, I mean, since I was a young kid, I've always loved movies. I mean, I remember watching like The Mask with Jim Carrey and wanting to be an actor, wanting to be just like him. Obviously that never worked out, would have never worked out. But always was interested in film. And when I was 8 years old, I think my uncle gave me like this little Sony Handycam, and that became truly like a passion from a young age. Through all my other fleeting hobbies, I was filming those experiences and putting them into little videos and throwing them up on YouTube. And if you can find those videos, I'm genuinely impressed. But yeah, so it started out like truly as a pure love for doing it. And in high school, realized that I didn't want to go to school. I had to pay for it on my own. I was like, dang, that's right. It's just not a move for me. And so my dad actually, who runs his own business as a chiropractor, was like, what if you can convince people to pay you to make videos? So I was like, you know what, shoot, might as well try. Graduated, got my LLC, and started knocking on doors. I'd go to business complexes and ask people to take a chance on me, and slowly blossomed into what it is now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right out of high school.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I had my first real client my senior year of high school, who was kind of like a family friend, who was like, I'll pay you $25 an hour.
Right.
Like 2 hours of work or whatever. So basically like $50 to make him like a pool video.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really cool story too, because that was like my first real client. Was actually my first experience of watching someone find real success through that avenue of video. I mean, we made a number of different videos over the years, and his company like absolutely blew up because he give these like quick little instructional videos on how to like maintain a pool. Are we good?
Tell her to turn it down.
Sure.
You want to pause?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just edit it and post.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Also, I don't have him.
Come here. I remember that happening once on Chris's podcast, Elias. He's like doing the thing and he goes, "Are they watching a fucking movie right now?"
That's funny. Oh man. Dude, I hate this right now.
It's weird, right?
It takes super
a while
weird.
to get
I don't
used to.
hate it, it's just weird.
Yeah. The headphones was the hardest part for me to get used to.
Yeah, it feels like a million people are watching right now. That's
Right.
right. It feels like we're on stage.
Yeah, and like So everything you say, it's like, oh, well, what if someone knows like I'm messing up or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or I'm
for sure.
lying.
Or you're lying.
Yeah, I haven't been telling the truth this whole time, actually.
Like, I'm actually a failure.
Yeah. I actually only play Fortnite.
Yeah. You can catch
Profitably.
me
Yeah.
at c.e Twitch TV.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, where were we?
You're talking about the pool story, like how that blossomed.
Yeah, so I guess shooting videos for this guy, he was really my first client, but he was also my first success story in the videos, me making videos for him actually made an effect on his business.
Right.
He started.
So you were sold after that. You're like, this, not only do I like this, but this is cool and it works for him. He's not just wasting his money on video.
100%. It was no longer this idea of like, I'm gonna try to figure out how to make stupid video skits and get people to pay for it, or like get YouTube famous, or like whatever my idea of that was. Like in that moment, I realized that I did have something that was actually valuable and that people could actually benefit from in paying me to do it for them. So.
And you learned that at such a young age, like 18.
Yeah, really think, and honestly, I would have never gotten there if it wasn't for a lot of people in my life pushing me to actually pursue that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you ever been scared to be like an entrepreneur and your own business person, and all the bills are paid by your work?
I've never been. Yes, I spent the first probably 4 years really afraid of like going hungry, which honestly like would never happen in my situation. Like I just have like too much family around me for that to ever like be a thing. But it was kind of an irrational fear of like, well, what if I never make any money doing it?
How long have you been married?
3 years, almost 3 years.
Yeah. So for like all of your marriage, you're like, I really have to make this.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was one moment in particular before we got engaged where she was like, do you really think that you could do this? Like, do you really think you could provide for us doing this? And it was kind of in that moment, I didn't have a verbal answer, but in my head I was like, there's no other way. Like, I have to do this. I'm not going to work anywhere else. I'm going to do overnight shifts at Home Depot, which is great for, someone else. But for me, I've been fostering this skill and this passion for so many years. I feel like it would have been a waste of an opportunity to try anything else. So
That's really cool.
Thank you.
I noticed like you, specifically with like comedy, you like find the things that other people don't see, and they just like kill you. You're just like, it's so funny, here's why, and you're like breaking it down, and everyone's like, yeah, it's so funny, and like they just like the punchline.
and
you're
said
like,
I'm not funny, basically.
no, you like the art of like the setup of the joke.
Sure, yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's you is what is actually funny, which is like Norm Macdonald, I think his name is. Like, he's just like that. Like, and he has like the perfect joke. This is his perfect joke. It's like, if the setup is the same as the punchline, it's a perfect joke. And I forget how he did it, but like it's absolutely hilarious. And I'm like, every time I think of it, I think of you.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Norm Macdonald is hilarious.
He really is.
Oh, he's like the yippee guy or whatever?
Yes,
That's the joke.
you know it, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yippee, whatever. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, shoot. He's like, yippee!
Yeah. But that seems to be like with how you do things, like you enjoy like the setup, like the art of it, not necessarily just the like the aftermath, but really like how it's built. It seems to be what you really like.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, most of your time in life is going to be the process of the things that you're working on. It's so little of it has to do with the success of what the thing that you're working on. It's so much. You're spending so much more time working on the thing to be successful at.
Yeah.
And so I think life is more fun working and being like finding a way to find purpose and joy in the process rather than just like the outcome of the things that you're working on always.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I've looked at you as like I see you doing it live when you're telling or explaining a joke from like Chris D'Elia, for example. It's curse of the genius is what it is.
Yeah,
You're explaining a joke to someone and it's so funny to you, and yet I can tell when you finally deliver the explanation and they laugh, you're like you're not appreciating the magnitude of how perfect that joke was. but it's because you're mortal, and I get it. You're not capable of comprehending it, and I love it because that process makes me laugh when I see you do it, because I'm like, that is comedy to me. I was like, that is comedic gold, because there's also a level of appreciation because of the art and the intention and the level of skill some of these like comedians have, and I think it's rare to have someone who can recognize the masterpiece for what it is and then explain it. But what's cool is in comedy, it's just meant to make you laugh, and to also take it so seriously, I think is awesome. I think that's because that's very much me and Steven. We'll be like, that's not why it's funny. This is why it's funny, and people don't laugh at that part.
For sure.
Like, okay, it's failed on you. It's just wasted jokes.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
It's just the worst feeling. I'm like, I wish you thought more like not a normal human being. It's so much more fun to like, because human beings are fascinating people.
Right.
Like even the most boring person, it's fascinating to me how boring you are. Like, it's crazy to me that people will like go their whole lives doing the same thing. Dude, like eating Cheerios every day. Every morning, Cheerios. Dude, some people eat
With
Special
no sugar
K.
on them, bro.
Dude, Special K, bro.
Yeah.
I was in Mexico eating Special K. Dude, I'm like, I feel like I'm eating the cereal box itself. I'm not even eating the actual cereal.
They sell like so
But-
many boxes.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
to waste a morning in Mexico eating Special K.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, dude. There was no other options, man. Everything was just like soaked in canola oil.
I'd rather not eat.
You ever had slimy potatoes?
Maybe.
Dude, slimy potatoes. Like, how do you do that?
That's what they made over there? Oh, that's what it ended up being.
Well, like, they're like cooked, but like cooked potatoes are supposed to be like kind of crunchy,
Yeah.
maybe soft in the middle. They're slimy everywhere.
That's brutal.
It was a good time.
When were you in Mexico?
We were there like last week. We just got back a few days ago.
I saw the pictures. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
You guys were in Cancun?
Cancun.
Nice.
Yeah, we are
That's
not
awesome.
partiers by any sense of the word.
Yeah.
Which meant that the people watching was immaculate.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like,
Talk about fascinating
Yeah.
human beings.
Look at these idiots.
People escaping.
Yeah. Well, so our parents have been going to Mexico for a long time.
Yeah.
Like 20 years, right?
Mhm.
And so they're like, yeah, people come down here and they think that there's no laws. Or like they just like want to escape. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just not how it works.
Mhm.
Like it's serious down there too. Like,
Yeah.
But people don't care.
Yeah.
They just kind of.
They don't care at all.
Yeah.
Dude, oh my, yeah. Jeez.
You
Dude,
guys
the
met up
things
with-
you see, you're like, just like cover my eyes constantly. Just walking past the pool to like the beach. Like,
Oh
just
yeah, for sure.
get away from me.
Especially if like Cancun is, it's more touristy as far as like I think crazier people.
Yeah.
Like Rocky Point is more family I think oriented.
You think?
I think so.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like there's more families there. Well, there's at least there's older people there.
Right.
So
At
to
Rocky
me, it's,
Point?
yeah, to me it feels
Parts of it, for sure.
yeah, totally. But like I think it feels more domesticated almost.
Yeah, I would agree with you in some ways. They're both just crazy towns to me.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Cancun, to compare Rocky Point to Cancun is kind of interesting because it's literally, Cancun is the -- party town in all of Mexico.
So insane.
Which does make Rocky Point look like a nursing home, but Rocky Point is still crazy.
Yeah. Because
How far away is Cancun? Do you fly?
It's a 44-hour drive, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, so that's why Rocky
No,
Point
it's
is a little
a-
bit more accessible, right? 4-hour drive.
Yeah, so it's a 4-hour
Right.
drive. Cancun is a 4-hour flight.
yeah.
But Cancun is so much more beautiful.
Right.
He's serious. He wants in.
He's like, you let me in whenever I want. You got it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, because Cancun is pretty much the Caribbean. It's
Okay,
as close as
right.
you can get to the Caribbean without going to.
Oh wait,
the
it's on the east coast of Mexico.
Yeah, it's like southeast, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
sounds right.
yeah. Right there, because then you get to there, and then there's like an island called Isla Mujeres, which is basically the border of Mexico,
Right.
and then the Caribbean.
Gotcha.
But the water's all the same. Like it's just like deep
Yeah.
blue.
Have you ever been to the Caribbean?
Yeah, Whitney and I went on our honeymoon to the Caribbean.
Nice.
On a little cruise.
Yeah. I went to the
So
Bahamas
fun.
a couple years ago. It was the best trip I've ever been on. It was insane.
Yeah, it's so, especially if like, did you guys grow up in Arizona?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, if you haven't been, I mean, even California, like the water's just like blue and brown and whatever, but
Yeah.
seeing water like that is like Just so cool.
Right.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
So
like you're
interesting.
like, this is water? Like it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The craziest thing about Cancun is from the beach of Cancun to the island, it's literally the whole way. The water's like only 15 feet deep.
Really?
Yeah. So I was asking like.
It's like an island in Cancun as well, or what island
So
is it?
it's called Isla Mujeres.
Oh yeah, you said that.
It's not technically like a part of Cancun, but like.
It's Mexico though.
Yeah, it's Mexico, and you can it's super popular. It's like a super popular like vacation island. You can take ferries from Cancun, do day trips. That's what we did. It was a lot of fun. But the whole trip, like on the water from Cancun to the island, the water is like 15 to 20 feet deep the whole way.
Oh wow.
I think.
Okay.
You can see the bottom because it's so clear and it's
Yeah.
that shallow, which is fascinating. I thought it would be like hundreds of feet deep.
It's
at
like
some point.
really clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah.
How far is it from Cancun to the island?
It's like a 45-minute ferry.
Oh wow. Okay.
Describe.
So it's not like you're gonna swim across there.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Dude, it was so scary. We did this boat tour. Barb and Eli actually came
Okay.
on that boat
Yeah, I
tour
was gonna
because
ask
they
you
were
about
in
that.
Cancun at the
Yeah.
same time, which is super fun. But on the way back, we had this like super fun full day, and on the way back, I literally felt like I was like one of the disciples in the boat. Like when Jesus is sleeping like in the quarters or whatever. Dude, the craziest storm came and it's like pouring rain. It's like freezing cold.
Yeah.
The waters change. And I
Quickly
was
too.
like,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah.
The clouds roll over. You can't see like our port anymore. And I'm like, dude, like,
This is
And
how
the
we
water
just.
turns like ominous.
yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
it turns from like this bright blue because it's all being illuminated by
Yeah.
the sun. When the sun goes away, it just turns like black
Bro.
blue.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sitting there like, Jesus loves me.
You're like,
But I remember it was really cool because I just was like, man, this is probably how the disciples felt, but like times 10.
right.
I was like, man.
Wooden boat. Yeah.
And this guy's sleeping. They're like, "Are you not bothered by the
Yeah,
waves?"
but to think that he would like come out and be like, waves, just stop it.
yeah.
You know what's sometimes more like crazy to me about that story is that he slept while this boat was going crazy. How is that not talked about? Yeah, I mean, like,
For sure.
come on, like, there's just no. I mean, that has always surprised me. If it was as bad,
Peace.
if it's as bad as they say it was, that they were frightened.
Yeah.
How are you not? He just like rolls over.
Yeah.
You know, grabs his little shawl, kind of
Just
covers
hits the
himself up.
snooze alarm on the weather.
Yeah.
Basically.
He's like literally telling them, leave me alone.
Yeah.
This is the best time to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought that was interesting that, you know, he was able to sleep through it rather than not even the fear part. I'm like, how are you still sleeping?
Yeah. But yeah, that was a crazy experience, and like it went as soon as it came. Like it was 10, 15 minutes of the rain, but it was such a crazy experience. But yeah, I thought that was worth noting. Just because I'd never been on the water like that with it raining.
Yeah.
We're still like 20 minutes from the port. I'm like, dang, dude, this thing flips. Like, I know I can swim for probably like 3 minutes. and
Right.
then-
Are you not a strong swimmer?
No, I shouldn't have said that. I'm a pretty strong swimmer. I grew up swimming, like
Okay.
competitive swimming.
Okay. He goes,
I'd
I
have
can
to be
swim for 3
carrying Whitney.
minutes. Yeah.
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 Carrying Whitney because she's not a strong swimmer.
It's like Nick today's in his sermon. He goes, "Oh, you know, I'm just not a smart guy." I was like, "You're joking."
You're like, you're an idiot.
I'm like, "You actually have an IQ of
Yeah.
a genius, you idiot."
You're an idiot. That's how smart you are.
Yeah. You're stupid.
Oh, man.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Ask him the question you were toying with earlier.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So.
The delivery is going to be so bad.
Oh, it's gonna be horrible. So you know, like, Nick is obviously super loved by the church. He's young pastor, Church of Flourishing. Your dad is awesome. I love your dad. He's successful in his own way, similar to like Austin. So like with all three of them being so awesome, what's it like being the funny one?
Dude, that's funny. Thank you. That's a huge, because literally, if I want to be known for anything, obviously like being a follower of Jesus, being like a man of integrity, I want people to think I'm funny. So that means a lot. Thank you.
For sure.
To that I will say, Austin is probably the funniest person I know.
He is pretty secretly like he like jabs it in there, and I'm like, where did that come
For
from?
sure.
Like,
Austin's like so respectful. He knows his crowd. But like once you start to like get
So he has to warm up to you. To like
He-
let loose.
kind of it's not that he like feels uncomfortable around people, it's just that he knows that if he doesn't have enough relational equity with someone, he could be rolling the dice, and with his jokes it's just not worth it to roll the dice. Yeah, I don't know how. Thank you, I appreciate that.
no problem.
What's it like being the funny one? Pretty sick, man, honestly.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, my brothers are not funny at all, so
Yeah. What's funny is you guys are like all the same. Well, I don't know Gavin that well, but I would assume it's similar. But
he's the outcast.
and then, yeah,
Not funny.
Korean.
thank you for your service. And then you guys are like all very much different,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it makes sense, but it is cool to see.
Yeah, we are all so wildly different.
Yeah.
I would say Nick and I are probably the most similar in a lot of ways, but him and I even operate, like the way that we live our lives just looks so different.
Yeah.
Like he cares about things and I'm like, dude, running?
Right.
Running.
He loves it.
Just point A to point B, you know? Which is cool. I mean, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Is that your leg?
Oh, that's my hip.
Let's go.
Yeah, he just like has always been that way. So driven, cares so deeply about things for like 10 minutes, and then will like he masters it, and then it's on to the next
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the important things he's really consistent in, so it's all that matters.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to click my phone off of the like silence it for me?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bam. Oh wait, I think it stopped recording.
Just hit record again. That's why we have two cameras.
Bam. How do we do this? Filmmaker is asking how to do this. Do you want it on the wide?
Whatever's there. Whatever it was on is fine.
Nah, that's probably
Yeah, it's just you.
When I was setting up cameras and looking at buying some, he literally was like, "You probably do this on your iPhone," and I was like,
You said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and honestly, that camera is better than the GoPro.
Oh yeah, I believe.
By
you.
a
Dude,
lot.
these cameras are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like they do, I mean, like there's some, in LA especially, like billboard photos.
What?
Yeah, it'll say like hashtag shot on iPhone.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
billboard photos.
Yeah.
I remember I think they do it for a lot of commercials, but the first time I noticed it was this last iPhone release. The whole commercial, they were like, yeah, shot
Oh, the
on
Apple
iPhone.
event.
Yeah.
No, it was like, no, for the 13, not the 14, sorry. But I was like, wow, shot on the iPhone, like that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's like a crew of like 35 people
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
the one iPhone that's on this like giant robo arm.
Yeah, they have lights everywhere.
Exactly.
Still
Yeah.
shot.
There are ways to like manufacture good cinematography even with a bad camera.
Right.
You
For
know?
sure. Yeah.
You know what's the GoPro is unbeat at is underwater. Like it is incredible how good those look underwater.
Yeah.
Like I can't replicate that on even an iPhone. So I gotta give it to them. But for the videos here, like when I edit this stuff, the iPhone's way better.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, they've really mastered consumer photography and videography.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's generally the first spec I look at, like going from iPhone to iPhone. I'm like, all right, how much better is it? Like
Yeah.
that's pretty much the only thing.
Yeah. And the new ones are crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so all of these cameras, well, not that one, but like all the old iPhones since I think like the 10 have been on 12 megapixel sensors, which is just basically like the resolution, how many pixels are in the frame. And the new ones are 48 megapixels.
Yeah.
Which is higher than my professional like photography camera.
So you know what's crazy and annoying about that is I wanted to invest money in a camera that didn't have like a minimum or maximum like 30-minute record limit, which is the dumbest thing in 2022.
Yeah.
But it's like $5-6 grand for a good one.
Yeah, it's a tax thing, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're then taxed as cinema cameras or something
Yeah.
like
Oh
that.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so like any like hybrid camera, like a photo camera that shoots video, you can only shoot up to 29 minutes and 59 seconds
Right.
of footage before it becomes like a cinema camera.
Oh, that's weird.
Right.
Super weird.
That's why I ended up going with the GoPro. I won that at a work event, and I was like, my iPhone, I don't have a limit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so much better, and I can't wait to actually replace this with like probably just an iPhone.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So I mean, there are so many like wildly successful podcasts that are shot on like 3 iPhones. versus like the
And it's gonna be
dedicated
that's what
studio.
I'm gonna end up getting to is 3 iPhones, honestly.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shooting a video for Duncan Robinson. He plays on the Miami Heat, and he has a podcast, or at least had a podcast. And he had like 3 iPhones.
Yeah.
And that was it.
It's so easy because even if you just bought 3 iPhones for like $900 each, brand new, didn't even go used, it's still cheaper than getting a serious actual camera.
Yeah.
Because the difference in camera quality, it's not enough
Yeah.
to care about a YouTube podcast.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not a movie.
You know, my human eye is not going to catch that. I'm not trying to HD this thing. It's just, yeah.
You just need to see what's going on. You're
Exactly.
not trying to like create a narrative story
yeah.
like out of it.
I wouldn't go as far as using an Android or something because, you know, it's on a potato in a microwave or something. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have those in the kitchen.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They can stay there. I love those Android versus iPhone memes where it's people like on Androids talking crap about iPhones and saying, oh, they're bragging about their cameras and it's like super pixelated and their audio is like distorted. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sit down.
Yeah.
I do love that.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, like when you watch movies, do you try to
Judge
figure out
them?
how to yeah? Do you try to figure out like how they're accomplishing certain angles or anything like that? Do you think like that when you watch movies?
I spend, yeah, I would say if I like the movie.
Yeah.
If I like the movie, then I'll be like, wow, like that is really impressive how they got that.
Yeah.
But if I don't like the movie, I just like spend the rest of the time angry that someone would spend millions of
Yeah.
dollars to make it.
You're like, oh my gosh. Like what
Dude,
was
like
that
any movie with a shark in it is so bad.
It's a,
Every movie that involves a shark. I've never seen a good movie that involves a shark.
I hate Finding Nemo, but what
Except
do you think of it?
Sharknado.
Wait. I've never seen it. Isn't that
Really?
like supposed to be a joke of a movie?
Yeah, it's like The Room or whatever. It just gained like a cult following, and then
Yeah.
it made like 17.
Yeah.
They're like the Fast and Furious movies,
Oh,
but
yeah.
in the water. But
So
yeah.
dumb. And the air.
yeah, that's right. Hey, that's a good one. I like that.
Wait. You don't like Finding Nemo?
I think it's stupid.
Well, okay, but that's an animated. It's different. It's an
You mean-
animated
you
movie.
mean
Sure.
like you mean
But
like-
it's a great movie.
You mean
It
like
is a great
CGI or live action is what you meant.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
real people. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was that war movie where it was
1911.
like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like
World
one
War One.
shot.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just one
1917.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 years.
Stupid. He's so confident over there.
That's a gun. 1911.
Yeah.
No, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's shot by one of my favorite cinematographers. It's like a seasoned veteran of filmmaking.
You know how they did it?
I didn't realize it until someone pointed it out to me. That's
Yeah.
how good that. Like I was just like sucked into the story. I was like, what? And
Yeah.
then someone was like,
Once
yeah,
you
there's-
see it,
there's-
you can't unsee it.
There's no changing scenes, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
No,
Yeah.
but do you know how they accomplished it with multiple takes?
No idea.
Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. But there's times where they move the camera to things that are inanimate objects, like they'll pass between
yes.
you and a tree, and that's where they'll like start over the.
It's like perfect splicing, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
So like because there are still multiple takes, people are laughing or messing up their lines,
Oh,
and
totally. Yeah, yeah.
it's just like, well, now we have to redo 9 minutes of film
Right.
because you laughed at the end. So
Yeah.
I can imagine it was like expensive, but it is some of the best cinematography ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I've never done it, obviously, to like that kind of magnitude, but shooting that stuff is so next to impossible. It's crazy. Because on that set, there's probably like 100 people behind the camera, making sure that everything and everyone is where they should be. And to like roll out a scene for even 10 minutes is like unbelievable, for everyone to remember their lines, their placements, cameras to be where they should be, like props to be in their perfect places.
And then
It's
just
like,
the execution itself, like
Yeah.
the light guy drops it or something,
Yeah.
like like anything can happen.
yeah, it's unbelievable. So impressive.
Or if you're shooting outside, like anything can
Yeah,
happen.
you're at the mercy of the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I love The Revenant so much, is because it was all shot outside.
Yeah.
And pretty much almost the whole movie was shot with natural light, which was really, really
Wow,
cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so no lighting.
That's really cool.
Have you guys heard of The Bear, the TV show The Bear?
No.
I don't
It's
think
on
so.
Hulu.
Mm.
I think it's the best show other than Breaking Bad, in my
Really?
opinion. Yeah, so it follows like a chef, world-renowned chef, whose brother died, and his brother owned like a sandwich shop in Chicago. So
Okay.
he leaves his like 3-star Michelin star job or whatever to go run his deceased brother's sandwich shop in Chicago.
Okay.
But there's one episode where the entire 20-minute episode is one take. And it's truly one take. And it takes place like in the kitchen of like a day, like a kitchen day gone wrong.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, you're like sweating by the end of it. Like, what?
So there's no camera scene changes. It's one shot.
The whole thing is one performance, one take.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the camera's like going through the whole kitchen, goes through to like to the front of house. Everyone's arguing, yelling at each other.
Who's in that?
So I forget his name, but he's one of the main characters in Shameless.
Oh, okay.
I forget his name.
Not the dad. Right?
No,
Yeah.
the younger guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Like the oldest brother, or no?
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen that show at all, but he is an incredible actor, really good performer.
That's pretty cool.
There's a guy from Loiter Squad, like Odd Future Wolfgang. Do you guys remember that?
I know. I don't know what that is actually.
Like Tyler the Creator's group.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
there's like one of the team members, one of like the guys in like Odd Future, or at least Loiter Squad, is in that show, and he's like literally spent his whole professional life playing like the dumbest, ridiculous roles, and he plays like this real human being.
Yeah.
In that show, it's really awesome.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
What was that movie you were talking about last night that you hate, like, with a passion? It's just like...
You and that guy were like
Yeah.
arguing about
okay.
it.
There's the show, The Terminalist.
The Terminalist,
I think it's just such a stupid show.
They're like, oh, I love it. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved that he was like cool enough to want to actually act out the scene
I know, right?
while everyone's like, these guys stop, please. But yeah, that and The Gray Man.
Gray Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm ruined. Like I've seen too much. I've seen too much.
Yeah.
I've pulled like the veil back
Yeah.
to see like I think what makes a film good. Mm-hmm. And so I would say just because like I've made this my life, I know more about what makes a movie good than the average person.
Yeah.
So is it annoying to like critique what should be a AAA rated film and be like that shouldn't even have been made it to final?
I think it all makes sense when you bring in the factor of money. Like so much of the movies, pretty much almost all the movies nowadays are just they're the best businesses in America.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like intellectual property, at least. I mean, these movies make millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you go through a year of production, editing, putting it together, marketing, and then the payout is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
but it's for like the top of the top.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point because, like, it's considered a flop if you double your money in that industry. Double your money. Warren Buffett's like, yeah, I can get you 15% a year. Hollywood's like, you turn 30 million into 60 million, we're never working with you.
Failure.
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, like.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is really interesting to me because I'm no longer, I would say, like the average viewer of a movie. Like I just know too much about, I don't even want to say that because I don't really know truly because I've never been on like a real movie set. But I think I do know like the components that make a good story.
Sure.
And the components that make executing a good story turning into like an excellent, cohesive story. And so it's just always been fascinating to me with these new eyes when people are like, dude, that new Aquaman movie is just the best thing I've ever seen. I'm like, no, you just think Jason Momoa is hot.
Right, right.
I haven't seen any of his movies.
Neither have I.
You know who was great in that movie?
Who?
Amber
Oh,
Heard.
gosh, I knew you were going to say that.
He asked who, and he immediately was like, "Oh."
You're
no.
like, oh.
Yeah.
So do you like a lot of Quentin Tarantino's work?
Yeah.
Or like,
he's like super. I'm not a big fan of like really vulgar stuff
Sure.
anymore.
Yeah.
I think I've just been now sensitized to that stuff, like just
Yeah.
keeping my eyes away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like Django Unchained is such a good movie.
yeah.
What are the other movies?
Inglourious Bastards is probably one of my
Yes.
like the way it's written, the storytelling.
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like a big like expert on him at all.
I've never watched Pulp Fiction. Like, and everyone
neither have I.
freaks over that. And I'm like, I don't think I want to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, some movies to me, I'm like, I don't know. I'd just rather watch like 007 again.
Oh yeah, you guys were talking about that, and I realized I was like, I have never seen anything 007.
Really?
Never. Yeah. And
Even the recent ones in
Yeah,
theaters?
and it's not that I don't want to. I just like never have.
Dude, the old ones are not worth watching. Like
Okay.
especially like the '90s ones.
Just start
are just
Daniel-
like so
Daniel Craig then?
ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, he's the best. And I know like some 70-year-old's gonna hate that I said that,
Oh, yeah.
but Daniel
Yeah.
Craig is the best 007.
Sick.
Yeah.
Well,
by
it's
far.
like with Top Gun too. Like Sobe, his childhood was that movie.
The original.
Yeah, the original.
Oh, does he hate the new one?
Loves it.
Okay, good.
He said it was so good.
Yeah. Okay.
But he told me, he's like, you should go watch the original and then watch the new one. And I like started the opening scene. I just was like, I can't do it. I turned it off.
People cannot get over this when I say it. Top Gun, the original one, is a bad movie.
Yeah,
I haven't watched, so I don't
watched
know.
half of it.
But it's just old.
It's-
There's nothing wrong
Dude,
with it
why
other
are
than
you
old
playing
tech.
Take
Like,
My
it's-
Breath Away 7 different times. Why do they do that? Like every time someone touches someone else's leg,
Yeah.
you're like, take my breath away. I'm just like, I don't get
So,
it.
It's like
yeah.
all the money they
Dude,
had.
there's
for-
2 songs in that movie, Danger Zone and Take My Breath Away.
Yeah.
And I think it's stuff like that about old movies. Don't get me wrong. That was the times, like, what is that, in the 70s it came out?
80s.
80s?
Like 87 or something.
Okay. And I just think, like, okay, fine. Like, their humor, we've come a long way.
But then you also have like Stanley Kubrick, who made like The Shining in the 70s.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
still like stands the test of time.
Yeah.
It is kind of a gnarly movie, but like that movie is
It still has the ability to like grip you.
yeah, for sure.
It's insane.
It's so so impressive to me that it can be that tasteful for that long.
Yeah.
Like it truly like,
That's fair.
stands the test of time.
Yeah.
But then
Titanic is another good example.
yeah.
We all know the story so well. It's been overdone.
Yeah.
And yet it's actually still really captivating to watch.
Yeah.
You could probably watch it every 6 years.
Except I can't, every time I think of the Titanic, I think of that really bad recording, like the recorder version of, what's that song, like the classic song for the Titanic?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
What's it? My Heart Will Go On.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
one.
that one.
Have you heard or seen that video?
No, I
Of the
haven't.
recorder? Oh, dude, it's
It's
so
like just
funny.
horrible.
Yeah, it's this guy like playing a recorder. And he's like breaking
I
notes
played
and
that in
stuff.
4th grade.
Yeah, oh, it's so funny. And it's one of those things where it gets, if you are an obnoxious person like myself, it gets funnier the longer so it's like minute 4,
Yeah.
he's still like breaking pitch, and it just, yeah, it's amazing.
I think Avatar may be in like top 3 movies for me of all time. It was really good.
Yeah.
I also liked that it was so long. People were complaining about it being like 3-hour long movie, right?
Think
Yeah.
so.
I was just like,
Yeah.
get out.
See, I think it's a great movie. It's hard for me to put it up there. But I think that's because I prefer movies like
It's so good.
Dune or Fellowship for Lord of the Rings.
Dune could have been better.
The newer one?
For Dune?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
newer
the
Dune?
new one, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
have you seen the old Dune?
No,
It's so
I've heard bad things. Well, there's many
bro.
old Dunes. There's like 3 of them.
Dude, but the one where they like turn into Minecraft characters when they put the robot armor on?
Oh,
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
it's
dude,
bad.
I have to show it to you. So, have you seen it?
Yes.
So,
it's-
like in the new one, right? He like taps the thing on
Yeah.
his wrist, and it's like this really cool like exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Bro, in the 80s or whenever
so bad. Yeah.
he taps it, and he like he turns into a Minecraft character. basically.
A block.
Yeah, like literally, like it's like and they're like moving around. It's amazing.
That technology.
Yeah, no, there's like, they tried remaking Dune like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
It's
I
that
didn't
bad.
know. Yeah.
I think why I like those versus like something like Avatar is because I should probably rewatch Avatar, but I didn't feel like the world building was enough for me. It's like I'm just like, oh, I just want to know more. Like,
Yeah.
whereas like I think Dune did a decent job. I mean, granted, there was so much going on in Dune. Like, if you didn't have any idea, like you were probably lost.
They could have done Dune much better. And I think it was a phenomenal movie, but for the hype it should have lived up to, like this movie was supposed to like be the modern day Lord of the Rings, the size of a trilogy.
Right.
They totally rushed it.
They're doing. It's only 2, right? Only 2 movies.
Dune Part 1 is to be 2 movies.
Dune Part 1 is 2 movies.
Yeah.
There's probably gonna be like 10 movies.
It's gonna be like Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that universe is like
But they ruined it. I mean, like the beginning was way too fast. That we don't have any idea of like the galactic family power struggles. Like you should have really built up into that because no one's reading the books.
Mm-hmm.
Like the intro to Lord of the Rings 1 with is it Galadriel who's speaking?
Yeah.
That's like some of those important context to the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. That without that, we'd be like, what is even going on? And why do we care? It really sets the stage. Just doing something like that.
It's the hard thing about Lord of the Rings is like all this setup, there's so much talking. I feel like I'm reading a book when I watch those movies.
Yeah.
They're just so boring until the fun parts.
Yeah,
Did
that's...
that turn off?
Yeah, sometimes it stops recording.
We're still recording here?
Not shot on the iPhone.
It's weird because it has a 3-hour limit.
Oh, weird.
And it just turns off.
See, that's funny because I actually like that part.
Which part?
I like the context. I like the building of it.
Did you grow up like watching and reading the like all that stuff?
I grew up watching John play video games.
Cool.
So like
It's a good time.
So
Yeah.
but you grew up watching Lord of the Rings?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was not a reader.
So what year was it when you were or how old were you when the movies came out? Like the Lord of the Rings came out?
Jeez.
When did they come out?
I remember us getting Return of the King and we were like 8.
Okay. So like early 2000s, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you're probably just like excited to be in front of a TV screen in general,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
like it's kind of like a newer.
I remember
newer
Phantom
concept.
Menace was in theaters when we went and saw like something else, and I was like, why can't we go watch that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe it's like kind of a testament to how fast our lives are now.
Yeah.
Or at least like for me, like information just like
For sure. It
just
never
so-
stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just get bored watching those movies nowadays. Whereas back then, like I was just so excited to be watching a movie.
I thought the theaters was the best thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah,
Agreed.
I don't know. Yeah, which is crazy because I actually grew up loving Lord of the Rings. I played the video games.
Oh yeah.
I would fast forward to the battle parts in the movies.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mashing the A button just to get through the talking.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we should do that for the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're walking again, so. Apparently that's like, I've never read the books. Well, I read Fellowship, but I didn't read the rest of them. And it's like, at some point, like, how do you keep saying that they're just walking?
Yeah.
Because it's the whole thing, that they're just walking.
Yeah, the movie would be like 7 minutes long if it was walking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I personally liked it, but I like the build up. I like the slow part of it.
Yeah.
Just preference.
Yeah, I like I think that's why I like Dune, because like everyone's complaint to me was that it was so slow. And I was like, oh, I wish it was
I thought it was
slower.
too fast.
Oh, you did?
Yes. That's why I think they ruined Dune Part 1 is because they skipped for as long as that movie
the first half
was.
of the movie was very well paced, in my opinion. As soon as like the war happened, like,
There's
the
just
battle.
missing context.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm like, we don't understand why or what. Like, truly. There's just so much missing that would have added context.
Yeah, the big mystery is like, why are the Harkonnens and the Atreides like mortal enemies? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we get it. Like, there's a power struggle, but like, there's always something underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, who is this emperor that's supposedly in control?
Yeah,
of
it would have been
everything?
cool or better to see like a quick 60-second overview of like how we got to the state we're at.
Yeah.
Like, why are their families in power and like something.
Yeah.
Set the
makes
stage.
sense.
But then I think they just rushed it. Like, from opening scene to the attack. That attack felt so out of place. I was like, what is going on? We're not ready for like this craziness, and it just made no sense. Too many explosions. And then it ends, and we're like in a whole totally different book now. I'm like,
It probably would have helped if they had a couple more flashbacks of Zendaya just looking over her shoulder doing nothing.
Dude, yeah, she really only looked over her shoulder the whole movie.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Just her going, just... And I'm like, what do we do? How much did you pay her for that? Like,
truly.
Were you like playing football right now? Like she like just had like a full line drive.
yeah. So I'm assuming the next movie will be like, literally every scene will be her. Like
That's
for
what
sure.
it seems like it will be.
Because she's going to need her screen time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Timothy will be just simping around.
Yeah. You'll see Tom Holland swing in the background. I would
Easter eggs.
like if Harkins or like if whoever's making it, Paramount, whatever, they're like, yeah, we'll put him in there, like, but tickets are gonna be $100. I would literally be like, just to see him swing in the background with no context, I would do it. I'd be like, I need to see that.
Oh yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Like, or just like some like weird like they're like running through somewhere and like there's just like web. Like in the middle of the desert.
She's like, what? He's like, don't worry.
Just keep running. Yeah.
No, I think it'll be good. I hope the second one is good, but I think they've ruined it. Like, you can't. The first one was the only one that was gonna be the best, and then it's just kind of slightly downhill from there.
I do agree. I'm not as excited to see the second one. I was.
How
stoked.
long was it? 2.5 hours? Wasn't it really long too?
Pretty long.
To spend that much time and not get your context in, I feel like I blame the director.
I mean, it was a tough movie to do.
Did he read the book?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like these guys at Amazon Studios. Did you read any of the books?
So what's interesting about that is like I don't
Are you
think
talking
they
about Rings of
have.
Power or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even.
There's like
even dip my toes into that.
watch one YouTube video that says the lore of the Lord of the Rings, and you would have made a better movie series. I don't know.
I don't
Did you
think
try
that they
watching
were-
it?
I'm on like episode 3. To be honest with you, I like them, but
Fifth one
I've
came
heard
out.
bad things about the lore not lining up, so I'm just complaining.
I think it's because they don't have the rights to it.
Yeah,
They only bought the rights to the trilogy, not the Silmarillion, not the Hobbit.
right. But that's the thing is, if you're gonna do it,
I know, I agree
like,
with
you
you.
should have just paid.
So the question is did the Tolkien family say this is how much we want? And Amazon was like no, or did they just flat out say no? Which I don't think.
The fact that like Lord of the Rings, like The Office, like any Star Wars, they're good for like 50 years,
Yeah.
100 years. People will watch them over and over again. You spend any amount of money to get those rights because you will establish Amazon Studios as the only platform with that forever.
I mean, especially if they're gonna put advertising on every Amazon box that they send out for the next 6 months.
Yeah, I've had Amazon Prime for like 3 years, and this is the first time using the video perk. So
Really?
Really?
I
They
mean,
have good
they have-
films on there.
I've never seen a good one.
They have a lot of stuff.
Like
on
Man in the High Tower was like a cool first episode, and I'm like, what a waste of my time.
there. Oh, I'm actually in like season 3 of that. It's actually pretty good.
Have you watched anything?
I honestly can't think of anything that I've seen on Amazon, like
Yeah.
Amazon Prime Video or whatever it's called.
There's
Prime
so
Video.
many perks.
Oh,
Like,
Terminal List. I love that show. So good.
it's
Yeah. Okay.
makes sense that it's on there.
Yeah.
They have like Amazon Music. I'm not ever gonna. No, I'm not
Dude.
doing that.
Bro, it's like the same thing as like eBay music.
Yes.
I've never.
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never go on my Amazon app.
Yeah.
Amazon. Did you hear me just say that? Gosh.
Who are you?
There's
Yeah.
like Amazon Gaming Studios now, so they're coming out with MMOs, and everything they do is just so generic.
Oh, I didn't mean their
Yeah.
own brand of stuff. I just meant like they have good movies on there. Like
What
in
have you
general.
watched?
Like any big Hollywood movie is probably on there.
Oh, you know what?
That's what I
Peanut
meant.
Butter Falcon's on there. I think
What's that?
that's a great movie.
Serious?
Have you guys heard of Peanut Butter Falcon?
No.
You're being serious?
I'm being dead
Oh,
serious.
okay.
You've never heard of this?
No.
Oh my gosh, dude! It's like top 5 movies. For
Really?
me. Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
When was this made?
2019.
I'll have
Okay.
to check that out.
Yeah.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
Peanut Butter Falcon. It's it has Shia LaBeouf in it.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah, so he co-stars alongside this guy's name is Zach something, and he has Down syndrome.
Wow.
And he's like the co-star, and it is the most heartwarming movie I've ever seen.
Have you seen him talk about the gospel recently? Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah, he's like, he talks a lot about like Catholicism, right?
Oh, I saw a short clip where he talked about the gospel.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he was literally, he was just like, you could tell he just got done crying, whatever he was talking about. But he was like, yeah, the reason I like the gospel is because it's so real. And I was like, okay, keep going. Like, I'm tracking with you.
Yeah.
And he's like, for him, it was just a way for him to learn how to let go of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, totally. Like, I'm waiting for it. And he's like, kind of making it a little bit about himself, like just like, you know, letting go and like all these things. And at the end of it, he's like, yeah, you know, it's just Jesus. And I was like, okay, we're good. We're good. Like,
He got there.
yeah.
He's a fascinating.
He really
human being.
is.
Have you guys seen Honey Boy?
No, I did
No.
not.
Oh,
I did
dude,
not
that's
see it.
another great Amazon movie. So, Honey Boy is a movie. What would you call it? Like a memoir or something like that? It's like not a fictional memoir, but it's about Shia LaBeouf's life growing up, like as a child star.
Yeah.
And Shia LaBeouf plays his abusive dad in the movie.
No way.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's really, really good. And the kid who plays him is Noah Jupe.
Mm-hmm.
He's the son in A Quiet Place.
Oh yeah.
Just an incredible
Yeah.
actor. That movie's really, really good.
His dad's
That's
abusive
tough.
too.
So there is gold on Amazon Prime.
There actually
You
is.
just gotta dig for it.
Yeah.
But Peanut Butter Falcon is so good. I love that movie.
Is that the movie that he was like a gangster in, like a cholo
No,
gangster? Oh, okay.
that movie flopped
Okay,
hard.
'cause that's
and he
a
got
bunch
real
of-
tattoos,
Oh shit.
like full chest torso piece
I thought that was all
for the
fake.
movie. It's all like Latino
Yeah.
or whatever that style.
Why not just get fake
I
ones?
think
I don't
it's-
understand.
Because he's Shia, I guess. And now he has to like live with that, which
Just
is
do
great.
it.
Like if you like it, but
Yeah, a piece of Chicano, like
Just
it seemed
do
like
it.
it seemed like he got the tattoos for the role, and it
method acting
flopped.
times whatever.
Yeah.
That sucks,
Crazy.
dude. I don't think like I heard somewhere that he's like out of money too. Like all of the millions that he made, like he really doesn't have it anymore. But I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then like Frankie Muniz lives in Scottsdale and he's still like stupid wealthy. Like,
Dude, I met Frankie Muniz.
Did you really?
Yeah, he came to our church. He came to Harvest one time.
no
Wow.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really
Do you guys know Bill Bornstein?
cool. No, I've
He was
only
like
heard
he
of-
used to be a pastor when we were all going to the same church at
Yeah.
Harvest North
Your dad
Phoenix.
told me about him.
Yeah, and I think he knew Frankie somehow, and he came for like an Easter or a Christmas service one
Dang.
time.
That's
It's pretty
pretty cool.
crazy. So
Wow. We just keep getting all this nice stuff still.
yeah, it's pretty wild to think that like, dude, I saw a UFC fighter the other day.
Really?
Do you guys follow UFC?
Oh yeah.
Little bit.
Brian Ortega.
You saw him?
I saw him at Fashion
kidding.
Square yesterday, and like I don't follow
Yeah.
UFC like really much at all. Like I know who, like Conor McGregor is.
Yeah.
But I'm walking and I see him, and he just kind of looks like a famous person for some reason.
Yeah.
They got
I
the
think-
look.
Yeah, like he's got the look, but also I think for me too, because like I just am always watching a lot of different things. Like people's faces get burned into my head, and I was
Yeah.
like, I know who that is. And I looked behind me, and he was wearing his own shirt.
Yes.
It said Brian Ortega, and I was like, I think it's Brian Ortega.
You're either a really big fan or
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's like Kanye listening to his own music. in his
oh
house.
heck yeah!
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
I feel like if Frankie Muniz came to our church and he was like on parking lot team, I'd be like, "Oh hey Frankie, you look really familiar." Anyway, so stand at this entrance and point cars this way. Call me if you need me.
When people try to turn in here, tell them to go down. This is not the entrance.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that'd be so funny. I think that'd be the best way if like you're a celebrity and you're like not about the hype, or you were famous like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's for people to be like, you look really familiar. Anyway, that's got to be just the best feeling.
The best feeling.
If
I
you don't
think
want
if
the
you
attention.
want- if you
yeah,
want
if you
to
don't
not
want
be
the attention,
famous,
you're like
that has
panicking.
to
You're like,
be-
oh no, oh no.
Yeah, that's either the best feeling or the worst feeling.
No
yeah.
in between.
Like who's that guy? Aaron Cole or something. I can't remember who it was. He's his name's Aaron something. He's like a world famous child star musician. Had these like super famous songs in the 90s, and he was like 12, and he's like still trying to really do it, and he's like
Yeah.
in his 30s now, and it's just genuinely really sad
Yeah.
to watch. I think he's actually probably in his 30s or 40s now.
Dang, man.
But it's like, oh, dude, like,
You never
gotta
really made
stop.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
stop. Yeah.
But what do I know? I
Go
mean,
be
I'd
an
probably be
engineer.
doing the same thing if I was in the same
Well,
spot.
that's like the Russian like the Russian boxer from Rocky. He got a chemical engineering degree. Like he has a standard 9 to 5. Like he straight up was like, I'll never beat this.
That's
Like,
awesome.
And he's a genius. Like he works.
And that
in-
movie made him a multimillionaire.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And he's doing like high level work. Like
Wow.
he's a genius. Yeah.
That's
He's
really cool.
Yeah.
So like the scientist work in there was actually him diagnosing himself.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
and it's
yeah.
the same with the twins from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. They both went to NYU.
Yeah.
Got normal
Yeah.
degrees.
Dude.
But they're rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Cole Sprouse is still pretty active
Yeah.
in like Hollywood, but I was hanging out with a friend. He was actually in Cancun, him and his fiance, and I had never met his fiance before, so we like went hung out for a bit, and he was telling me he became good friends with someone in a TV show, and they were like hanging out for someone's birthday, and Dylan Sprouse showed up, and he was like vibing with him the whole night, which I thought was pretty cool.
It is really cool. Yeah.
Who knows if he's telling the truth, Paul?
Yeah. Right.
I think you're lying to me, but that's okay.
I've
Would
heard
you-
they're pretty down to earth.
Would you rather be like Harry Potter or Frodo famous, where it maims you? You can never do something else again because you're so popular as Harry Potter or Frodo, or be like Robert Downey Jr., where you could like go do many different roles, but you're still known as like you're Iron Man.
Shoot, I don't know. I think if I could add a third option, to be someone who's like really versatile. That's
Okay.
probably the best thing.
So at best, you're never like the top 1% casted into this like character arc or anything like that, but you're very versatile. I almost
I'd
think of
rather
Jim
be
from
that.
The Office, you know?
Yeah.
A Quiet Place to Office salesman.
Sure. Okay, I see what you're talking about. So like, wait, but what's the caveat to both?
No, I'm just
Is
thinking
there
like,
a-
so Robert Downey Jr. is absolutely the face of Iron Man, but I've seen him in like comedies and stuff like that and other
Yeah.
stuff.
And Due Date
And when I
too is
see him,
really
I
good.
still think Iron Man, but he's getting these other roles. Like Due Date is a
Yeah.
perfect example.
Yeah.
And almost he brings part of RDJ into Iron Man and into his Due Date roles.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I can't think of his name.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe, but the guy who played Frodo.
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. He'll never be no one but Frodo to me. You
Yeah.
cast him on something, I'm distracted the whole movie. Like that scary movie he played in, I'm like, what is Frodo doing?
A long way from the Shire.
And I just can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So, but okay, and they probably made more money than like any actor needs to.
Well, Daniel's just getting into producing.
Yes.
Daniel
Which is-
Radcliffe.
yeah, which is a smart thing.
He's really good at it too. But which one would you pick if you could? Like, would
If I
you
had to
rather
be
be
one.
like stuck as the Harry Potter boy forever, or like the Jim Halpert? Little bit of versatility.
Yeah. No, I would want to be. I would rather be someone who's known for his latest work.
Okay.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like I would rather. I think a lot of people would probably rather be like Robert Downey Jr. than Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
But I think the person who's probably done it the best, because he probably had arguably the hardest like hole to dig himself out of, is Robert Pattinson, because he was Edward Cullen
That's really good. That
in
was-
Twilight.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's
That was
good.
hard
And
to
he
dig out
was
of.
every teenage girl's fantasy for years and
Right.
years, and
And we all hated him.
yeah, and every teenage boy's butt of a joke for
Yeah.
years.
Like when he played Batman, we're like, you still can't get away from the vampire stuff.
For sure.
but then he steps out of the shadows, and you're like, I'm sorry for saying that.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So it earned my respect. I'm like, good for you, man. Good
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
But even before Batman, I mean, he was in some incredible
Yeah, he
movies
did.
where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know he actually had range. So like Tenet, one of them, he was
So
in Tenet,
good.
which I loved, and he plays such a good character in that. And there's another movie called Good Time that he's in.
Yep.
Have you guys heard of that?
He's actually a really good actor.
He's a great actor. And it's so funny because Whitney will be like, I still can't unsee it. I'm like, but like how, like
I don't see it.
she spent so much time like watching those movies,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it was
Yeah, I
either
never
making fun of them or like just being around her friends who were in love with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
But so it's funny, like we watched the Batman. She's like, I just can't unsee it, and I'm like, but if you could unsee
Yeah.
it, you'd see the movie.
So true.
Which was
she's
so
waiting
good.
for him to go. Right across.
Why is his skin sparkling?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
man.
that was
See,
like,
It makes me wonder if like Johnny Depp at the beginning of his career had like done something super super iconic, and maybe he did, and I'm just too young to notice. But like he was a superstar, and then he did Pirates. But I will never see Jack Sparrow
Yeah.
in his other work.
Well, the crazy thing is, I think Johnny Depp probably has the most iconic roles.
Yeah.
Like he's Sweeney Todd, Jack Sparrow,
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands. I mean, just even those three
Yeah.
are like
The chameleon
are-
off that. I'm just kidding.
Wait, no. Didn't he also play in the
Durango or
I
something.
might be crazy. Nightmare Before Christmas. Isn't that his voice, or am I crazy?
Maybe.
I'm so far off right that.
I
No,
don't
I feel
think
like
so.
you
Is
might
that
be
him?
right. I don't know. I think you're
knows?
right.
Nightmare Before
No,
Christmas.
Tim Burton is like the name on
That's
the
the
thing.
that's
the
the guy who
I don't-
made
I
it
don't
or
know.
directed it.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
it is
Tim
Johnny
Burton
Depp.
directed it.
It probably is.
Does he play other ones? Johnny Depp. He's
big stuff. What was that?
Jack Sparrow, Sweeney Todd, Edward Scissorhands.
Mm-hmm.
I know he has more. He's definitely got to have more.
I can't remember.
Well, his older work for sure.
Yeah, but even those three are like, those are all household like names.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you say anywhere, and people are like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Whereas you have like Tom Cruise is, you know, the same glass of milk just in a different cup.
You know the phenomenon to me, it blows my mind. To say
Oh,
you
how
have
his
someone...
tooth is in the middle of his face?
Who?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that not what you're talking about?
Definitely not.
Never mind. Sorry.
No, it's like someone who, like Nicolas Cage, could not be more popular at his prime,
Yeah.
and then makes like 6 bad movies in a row.
Yeah.
It's like what I read. And I like read the titles. I'm like, never heard of those. I'm like, they must be bad movies.
Yeah.
And then just like becomes the butt end of every joke.
Yeah.
And it's
But
so
at the
sad.
same time, is such a beloved figure in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So loved. Like
Still
even though
invited
he's
to the Christmas parties. He's still
Yeah.
that guy.
100%.
Yeah.
And he just came out with a new movie like about his life.
I hope it does well.
He's actually getting
It did.
some popularity right now because
No, that was
he was
Brett,
like,
that was Brett Fraser.
No, both of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but actually,
they do look a little bit alike.
I actually want to look it up. Who's the guy we were just talking about? What's his name?
You're absolutely. Wait, I'm so.
I knew you
They
would do
both
that.
are getting some popularity right now because
Nicolas
of
Cage
it.
and
But I'm
Fraser.
thinking of
Tarzan.
the guy who played
George of the Jungle in there.
George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
I also did mean Nicolas Cage in terms of like making 6 bad movies and things like that.
Yeah.
The Mummy.
What's his movie? Dude, this is the name of his movie. I think he directed it.
Oh no. Is it?
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is the name of it. It has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
By Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
What a title!
I know. And it's about him. Unfulfilled and facing financial ruin, actor Nick Cage accepts a $1 million offer to attend a wealthy fan's birthday party. Things take a wildly unexpected turn when CIA operative recruits Cage for an unusual mission.
Is this a real movie?
It's a real movie.
Is
It
this
came
Agent
out in
Michael
April.
Scarn?
Yeah.
Wait, I
sounds
almost
like-
expected you to tell me it was like a a biography.
No, it's like a tongue-in-cheek, like he plays himself, but it's a fictional
Satire, though?
narrative. Oh yeah, it's an action comedy.
Maybe
Okay.
he's
But
secretly
it has an
hoping.
86%. Like it's a good rating
That's
for a
crazy.
movie.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's like secretly hoping a fan does offer him $1 million to show.
Yeah, probably.
He's like, can one of you just please? Like,
Yeah. He's gonna spend $40 million to make $1 million at a birthday party.
yeah.
It's a whole new level to failure in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He
Couldn't
really,
even double his money.
He really does have
What a
like
loser.
money spending issues.
He does.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Huh.
He for like I read this article and it was like, yeah, like him and his son just, I mean, they just spent it. Like it was crazy.
You know who I was listening to lately was Dane Cook talk about his rise to fame,
Oh yeah,
and then his brother is in prison.
for stealing all of his money. Yeah.
A lot, like $30 million.
Oh my gosh.
And Dane's like still got like $50 to $100 million tucked away.
And he
That's
can make
so much
he can
money.
make $250,000 a year doing stand up in LA the rest of his life.
Yeah, and like
It's easy.
no one knows where this is at type of pub.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he doesn't need money anymore. But he's making a autobiography on it.
Good.
Is that auto? Is when you're dead? The
No,
Auto's
Auto's
about yourself.
about yourself.
Okay, yeah. So
You're
he's,
making it about yourself.
and he's launching on Netflix.
Oh wow.
He's gonna go into some of the details on it. But his brother is like, I think it was like 15 years in prison.
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so crazy, man. Like family doing that.
Yeah,
His brother was his manager, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Elvis? That new movie Elvis.
No, I didn't see that one.
No, that looked good though.
It
but-
did look good.
It was pretty good. I thought it was kind of long, but it's kind of like the similar story, which I had no idea until I watched the movie that Elvis
really?
got like screwed out of all of his money.
Really?
Pretty
I did
much.
not
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, his manager was like a really manipulative.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're young and you make a ton of money, that's probably pretty common. So the old guy in like those scenes, that was his manager who like stole from him.
You're talking about Elvis?
Yeah, in that movie.
Yeah, that's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's who it
Oh,
is.
isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
They did so good with that.
Yeah. Well,
Couldn't believe it.
The you know what's even crazier is the transformation, the Penguin in the Batman. That guy.
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
It's the same guy who plays the Harkonnen Lord in Dune, isn't it?
They're both fat.
I don't. No.
It's not?
No. So that he plays like. Have you seen The Gentleman? The movie
Oh,
The
wait,
Gentleman.
yeah. It is a different guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but that transformation is crazy.
What transformation?
Where he becomes the Penguin. So he's like this fit, good-looking guy,
Yeah.
and they transform him to the Penguin.
Yeah.
He's just like a.
I didn't know he was
Yeah.
fit.
It's just
Because in the
slimy.
movie, I mean, like, he looks way unhealthy, you know?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a
So he was
slimy
really
dude.
fit.
Yeah, he's like a good-looking.
I
I
didn't know
gotta
that.
look him up. I gotta see who it is.
Yeah, it is crazy. I didn't realize it until... Isn't it? It's not Colin Farrell, is it?
Yeah, Colin
It's
Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell plays
Here, I'll
the
show you a
Penguin
picture
in
of him.
Batman.
I'll show you a picture of him.
Really?
With Robert
And you'll be like,
Pattinson,
what
yeah.
the heck? That's not even him.
Yeah,
Let me see.
it'll blow your mind. It's insane.
Colin Farrell.
Huh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Let me here. Colin Farrell Penguin comparison, so we can look side by side.
Oh yeah, you won't even understand it. It's insane.
Let me see. Come on, dude. Look at that.
No
Yeah,
way.
Isn't that crazy?
Right?
Like unbelievable.
No way. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one did. And honestly, that's how you know he did a good job.
Yeah.
You don't know it's Colin. Yeah.
Dude, oh my gosh, and Paul Dano in that movie, he plays the Riddler.
Oh yes.
Paul Dano.
Dude,
So good.
that performance, I was in love with it. I was like,
Mhm.
this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like perfectly played.
Have you guys seen any of his other work? Paul Dano?
Well, I might have.
Have you seen
but-
There Will Be Blood?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he plays like the kid preacher or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so good. So good. He's in Little Miss Sunshine with Steve Carell.
Okay, yeah.
He plays like the angsty teen in that movie.
Wow, he's in more than I remembered. That's
Yeah.
so weird.
It's weird like how when you become familiar with someone, you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I had no idea I actually watched like he's in Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Okay.
where they can teleport or
Yeah.
I think they can teleport people or something. It's like this guy who
Wow.
time travel. That's what it is.
He's made some good movies then.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Really good
Yeah,
movies.
even if they are minor, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Some of these Hollywood transformations are, like, shocking.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
What is that movie or film, like, miniseries even that Colin Farrell's in, where he's, like, a British guy, part of a gang?
Yeah, The Gentleman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he wears that plaid.
The jumpsuit or whatever.
I love that
The
character.
sweatsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a, he plays such a good
that's
character
the one
there.
where Matthew McConaughey's selling all the weed, right?
Yeah.
That was actually a really good movie.
That was good. I actually liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to like Matthew McConaughey, but he's
He's hard to
just
hate.
so good looking, man.
Yeah.
I just can't get over
His
him.
voice, just the whole shebang. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're a great
You're like,
guy.
He's
Yeah.
a good example of like he's iconic in whatever role he does, but like I don't necessarily remember him for like The Revenant. I'm like, oh, that's Leo in The Revenant. I'm like, oh, Matthew, he's just a good actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a little different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, dude, but have you seen any of his like Instagram videos? Dude, it's so funny. He, cause like came out that book, Green Lights or whatever it's called.
So
Okay.
weird. Yeah.
Just like, he seems like he's trying to start a cult, honestly.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, dude, that slicked back with the ponytail. Like, it's like the thinnest ponytail
like,
ever.
hey, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Just gonna get my Lincoln.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
The Lincoln Lawyer, the new one, the new Lincoln Lawyer.
The show.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch.
It's actually really good.
I bet.
I was really impressed. It's a
Wow.
hard movie to redo.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
I did like that movie a lot.
But it's a show now, and they did a really good job. I feel like it's on Hulu.
No, I think it's Netflix. I think.
You sure?
I think so, but I don't know.
Probably. Netflix makes much better originals than any other platform.
Yeah, they do.
They
do a good
crush
job.
it. The Netflix effect is like a very real thing. No other platform is coming out with movies or shows that changes our culture the way Netflix does. Think chess.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Chessboard sold out because of that game for that show.
Yeah,
Oh.
Queen's Gambit.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Chess.com got 1 million signups that like weekend.
Really?
So
1 million signups. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane. Then you see things
Or
like
F1. Like they
I-
came out with
yeah.
a couple like documentaries and like F1, which is already wildly popular, like blew up in America overnight. Virtually, I was
Yeah.
one of them.
the Netflix effect is very real. They're so good at making these originals.
Yeah.
And what sucks is they have to though, because they're not getting any other
Yeah.
titles or content.
Dude, have you seen any of the new Chef's Table shows or episodes?
I haven't.
So they just came out with the pizza one, and there's
It's just a cooking show, right?
yeah, well, it's a
Okay.
documentary.
Okay.
So they're like mini docs about like cooks and chefs and culinary artists, all
Okay.
that stuff.
Like their story, their journey.
Their stories, yeah, and they're honestly some of the best like documentary stories I've ever seen.
Wow.
They're shot super well. They're really like interesting, and they're good stories. But they just recently released a bunch of pizza ones. Yeah, the newest one of the newest episodes is about a guy named Chris Bianco. He has a number of like really famous restaurants here. Pizzeria Bianco, Trotto, Pane Bianco, or Pane Bianco, I'm not sure. But they're like beloved restaurants here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, but he apparently, like he says it himself, and like a number of people say that he like changed pizza in America forever.
Really?
Yeah, just like some of the things that he was doing.
No kidding.
He found out that like some sort of grain or wheat was actually being made here in Arizona and being shipped to Italy for like pizza shops there. So he's like,
Wow.
he kind of started the whole like, not the whole like local thing, but at least for Arizona. Like Arizona does have a thriving agriculture.
Yeah.
And so like all of his ingredients are, made here in Arizona.
Are
Which
his
is pretty
stores
cool.
mostly in Arizona or all in Arizona?
I think there might be a couple. There's one in LA, I know, but most of them are here in Arizona.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Huh, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We went up to his brother's restaurant up in Flagstaff. It's called Pizza Cleta. It's kind of like a similar concept. It's just one long table.
Yeah.
And so like they seat you down, but you sit next to strangers.
Yeah.
Sharing this like one long. That was really cool.
Would you ever want to do a documentary? Like, let's say, it was an awesome opportunity, but it was going to take you 3 years of of documentary level dedication. Do you think you would do it?
If I was at a place to where someone was making it feasible, like it would make sense for someone to pay me to do it for that, then yeah, 100%.
Because, well, most of those types of documentaries is like a really good journalist who knows how to handle somewhat of a camera, you know?
Or it's a journalist who's partnered with a production company.
Yeah.
Right.
To be able to like come together and make a cohesive story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that stuff is so fun. I've tried, and I think I've done a couple like what you would consider like mini docs, but I've tried a lot. It's really really hard
Yeah.
to come up with something that makes sense and is actually like impactful. But yeah.
Did you see that that like mega church documentary that was like really famous for a while? I don't know if it was on Netflix.
No, I don't.
Costi was on it. Like they interviewed him.
Oh really? Costi Hin?
Pretty sure. He
Oh,
was
wait,
on it.
American Gospel? What's it
Oh,
called?
I think it was that. It was about mega churches.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't watch a lot of that stuff. I'm honestly not super interested in it because I feel like so much of like silly like ideas can be like hidden in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Like did you guys watch or listen to that podcast about Trinity or whatever? Or not Trinity, the other one. Whatever it is.
The one with
What's his name?
Mark Driscoll.
Yeah, Mark Driscoll's church.
I did not yet, but I've been wanting to.
It's like insightful, but I feel like there's just like a wolves in sheep's clothing ideology in a way where it's like I feel like it's almost giving people an opportunity to like try to find church hurt,
Oh, I
to
see.
find
Yeah.
reasons to
Find
be
the
sad or
distrust.
hurt.
Yeah. Like, oh, look.
Which
this is
there's
the-
like, don't get me wrong, there's like real situations like that, but
I knew they were all bad.
yeah,
But,
totally. Which is just like I don't think it's the right way to think about it. But
Yeah.
what do I?
Dude, you know what kind of shook me up today? Well, I shouldn't say shook me up, but I like it caught me off guard. I was walking into the like sanctuary, and it was just as 10:15 got out,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm walking past this like group, and this college kid was like, "Yeah, it's like a mini mega church," and he was definitely talking about like because they were talking about the sermon too, and I was like, "Ugh, no, like we need to plant another one now." Like, let's go back to 55 people, please.
Yeah, that's funny.
But that was hilarious to me. I was like, that's
It sucks that mega churches get a bad rep.
Yeah.
when it could be such the opposite.
Yeah.
Like someone like Joel Osteen, who literally has a stadium of people every Sunday. Why couldn't you just be a good guy?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, like why are
Dude,
you hiding
well-
millions in your bathroom walls?
Yes, why do you have a G6? You should not have a private jet. It's wild
crazy,
to me.
man. Because I was in Iowa for a job, and I haven't watched like cable TV in years and years. And I was flipping through the channels, and he came on. I was like, I want to listen to him.
Let's go.
Because like for so long, especially when you go to a church like ours, you just like are influenced to like kind of want to throw that stuff up, to be like, or throw it out the window, like whatever.
Without even hearing him, you're saying
Totally,
directly?
yeah. But I was listening to him, and I think when you're removed from it, you're like, how could anyone ever listen to him and believe like the BS that he's saying? But like I was listening to him, I was like, this guy is not wrong about a lot of this stuff. Like he actually has really good points. Whereas if I was sitting in the same, hotel, because, like my wife had just left me and I have no hope because I had made some really bad decisions in life, and I flipped that on, and he's like telling me about this hope, like I would probably...
No, yeah, it makes sense.
For sure, yeah. But then you look at all the other stuff and I honestly don't even know much about what he's doing. But
have you heard of TBN, Trinity Broadcast Network?
No.
So like Joel Osteens of the world, the big mega churches who are very independent organizations, that's where they put themselves on TV. So TBN is like a private network, 24 hours a day. It's always, collections.
Yeah, there's no commercials.
There's no commercials. It's just all like the top 20, 30 mega churches in the States.
Yeah.
Where they show their sermons or teachings and things like that. So it's really great for the fact that, they're trying to spread the gospel, and
then it's like, hey, give us $20 and we'll give you a blessing.
They do praise-a-thons and heal-a-thons.
And I like, that commercial came on right after like the break of his sermon. I was like, all right, this is where you...
There it is.
Yeah.
And so
gotcha.
Steven and I actually grew up with that like on the TV all the time. Because our mom was a huge fan of that. And so what I love that you said is like most of what Joel says is actually true. Good stuff. Generally speaking, from Christian to atheist can go, those are good things. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
What's crazy to me, and this is what's really sad, is like their reach is like gotta be millions of Americans just in America alone. And the second you, read through the entire book of John one time intentionally, you go, I found it. So like you're mostly right, and then you say one thing that's like not gospel. And so it's like, now I have a problem with you. And that's all it is. It's like people who listen to him, or John Hagee, or any of them, really. Rod Parsley, the whole shebang, Creflo Dollar, Joyce Meyer. As soon as you read your Bible yourself, you're like, this is taken out of context. And that's where it's wrong, but people are apparently not reading their Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really what it's got to be.
Well, yeah, 100. We're not reading our Bibles a lot of the time.
Totally.
Right?
Right? Yeah.
So like how can we expect them to? But at the same time, someone who's called to be like a shepherd is held to a higher standard.
The only way to judge someone, which we shouldn't be,
But
Joel, judging someone's, I think, salvation is by the fruit in their life. Like,
Yeah,
is there fruit in their
you're
life?
able to make observations on the fruit of their life.
Right.
But
That's the
you have
extent
no
of it.
idea what the
They have a
condition
walk
of
with
their
God
heart
that
is.
I'm not a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what if he's just like fumbling because he got put into this position because his dad started Lakeview Church, right? And then it blew up, and then he got put in that.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
he's
like,
just kind of like trying to fumble it, like pick up the pieces the whole time. I don't know.
Imagine if like your only sin, not to say one is better than the other, but if you're like your worst, biggest issue with sin was like in front of 40,000 people or however many people it is, sometimes you make it about you, like because it's addicting or it's exciting. Sometimes you do relish in the popularity, or you mismanage the money. From like a human perspective, we love to like hate on people for that. But from a Christian worldview, and non-Christians hate this, lying is as bad as murder. Both are not glorifying to the Lord.
Yeah.
And non-Christians hate hearing that because they're like, oh, how dare you say that, you know.
Well, I think it's because it's because it sounds like they're the same. They equate to the same thing, but they're not.
There are different earthly consequences to each of those actions.
Absolutely.
Right.
The eternal consequences are the same, but for people who have lived in the world in an earthly context their whole lives, all they know are the earthly consequences.
Totally.
And that's all we really know at the end of the day too. We just know the truth of what God has said about the eternal consequences of even sinning once.
Yeah.
But
it's a really good topic. I actually taught that today in Sunday school. So we went over 2 Peter 3 through like 11. And the two questions that Peter's answering to this church is, how do we live like Jesus and why do we live like Jesus?
Yeah.
So he gives like a couple different things, and it's just so cool to see like Peter, who probably like, I mean, he's in prison when he's writing this, I think, or he's about to go to prison, one of the two. Like either way, he like dies after this letter, after 2 Peter.
Gotcha.
And it's like, it's so cool to see like him and Paul talking about essentially fruits of the Spirit, and they're just like the same. And I'm like, yeah, they're like potentially 1,000 miles apart. Like who really knows? But like they're not hanging out because they're in like different parts of their ministries. And, and so like walking a 7-year-old through like, hey, like this is how you live for Jesus. It's these traits. Why do you do that? Oh, here's why. Confirm your calling and election is actually what it says. To confirm your calling and election, that's why you live as a Christian.
Right.
And so like you look at that and you hear someone like John MacArthur, and I listened to a sermon, he's very much like, oh, if you're not doing this, he has no problem saying like, yeah, you're probably on your way to hell. No problem saying that. Like, I've even heard him say it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, yeah, like I wouldn't be that direct with it, but I would, like someone like Joel, if he was here, I'd be like, I have some major problem. I'm worried about you.
It's
Yeah.
what's frustrating is the lack of public repentant sin for someone. Like if you're going to be a pastor, if you're going to be an elder, an overseer, and you want to be on stage and preach the gospel and share the good news, when you make mistakes, you should be asking for forgiveness on the same stage because of the platform that you've been given.
Yeah.
And so it's the lack of that.
Did you see like Matt Chandler recently?
Yeah, that's uncomfortable to watch for sure.
That was hard to watch.
It's hard to watch. But like, yeah, I feel like he just handled that so well.
Yeah.
People I know...
Gosh, I feel so silly talking about pastors. Just like regular people, like, oh man. I just feel like we would do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
I had friends say that Matt Chandler had faked it.
What?
Faked the apology.
Yeah, see,
and
like,
I was
that's
like,
just
what?
so frustrating to hear because it's like, really, like, what makes you think that you would be any different in that situation?
Yeah.
What's shocking to me is Matt Chandler and his wife, if we assume he's telling the truth, which I have no reason not to believe him, and his elders were like, we don't think you committed sin, but out of like an effort for transparency and purity and to live above reproach, step down for a while. Just step away.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because I would argue that that video is not even for me to watch. Like,
it's for his church.
It's for his church.
I did not like that they posted it.
Well,
it makes sense to me.
There is a reason they posted it.
Oh, okay.
Because he has such a big online audience.
Okay,
there are a lot of people who
the
don't
optics is
go
worse
there.
if you don't post.
There are a lot of people that do go, not like physically to his church, but however you feel about that, virtually attend his church. And so those people should know in some way, whatever. But it's not for me to know. But like, how else do you send an email blast?
Yeah.
To like, it just doesn't make any sense to do it any other way.
That's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just like.
You know why I think it's good though for the church, is because Matt Chandler's someone like I think people really hold dear in their heart, and God's going, it's not Matt Chandler, it's me.
Yeah.
And Kirk says this the best. He goes, God will. Do you know how he says that actually?
Yeah, he said God will use you for 20 or 30 years and build you up in a ministry, and then when he's done with you, he throws you away.
Does he say that? Does Kirk say that?
KJ quoted him. KJ's so
Should we I feel like we shouldn't put this in the video.
No, it's pretty, like Kirk's not.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a very blunt way of saying that it's not about the pastor.
Yeah.
Throw you away is a strong way of saying you've been decommissioned, you're force retired. It's
okay.
It's
I think he was
to remove them from
Within the context of like vocational ministry, you're no
Yes.
longer to be okay.
It's
That
a
makes
throwaway
sense.
is a strong way of saying like
That sounds really, yeah.
It's-
But it's like when
I just
the
don't
Lord-
want like if we like post this and it's like
wrong.
Kirk's like, oh, I didn't say that at all. You know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You can reach out to Nick Eli at.
no, I think it'll be okay. I don't think that would be something he would be ashamed of. Like it's
no,
not.
no, no.
It's not
I just want to make sure
insulting.
that if he did say it, we're saying the right version of how he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's a good point because the context in which I heard it was that like specifically with pastors,
Yeah.
and when the Lord is done using you in that way, like he's done using you, and so.
Well, because like
Yeah.
they're gonna die. Like a
Totally,
human being,
right,
you're gonna
yeah,
die.
right.
You're gonna start
Your
maybe
mortality
saying
sets
some
in,
crazy
whatever it
things
is.
because your head's like going
Yeah.
down.
Or you started at 30, went till 50, and you're just your time is done. It's
Sure.
passing a baton to the next lead pastor, whatever it is.
Yeah, like if Christ Church, like in 15 years or 3 years, like we couldn't pay our bills, we had to shut our doors, like the Lord was done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like
I think I've grown to a place in my Christian walk with God where it took me a long time to get here, but before Christ Church, I went to Redemption Tempe, and that lead pastor left, and I left too, and I was like, I didn't care for that. I didn't like that I was like only going there because of how he preached, or because I liked the worship music. And so if Nick left today, I would still go to Central Phoenix, like unless I was called elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just because I know that's where God wants me. And even though I think Nick's is the best preacher I've ever listened to live, probably actually ever, honestly. I haven't listened to a lot of Like of the Greats. So I'm just happy that I'm past a point where I attend just because of the person on stage.
Yeah.
And so that's
No
probably
longer
the heart
there.
behind what Kirk is trying to say is it's more than the person on stage, even if they're really, really good. So yeah, I can appreciate that.
yeah.
And that's
Yes.
probably how he meant it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll have him on to defend himself.
Dude, I don't think Kirk would ever do this podcast.
He'd be like, you just want to
He's like, I'd actually rather go swimming. I want to go swimming.
Yeah.
Do I look like a man who has time to swim?
That's funny. So what company do you work for again?
It's called Stoa.
Still, who works for Homely?
That was me.
Yeah.
I left.
Does someone else works?
Tanner.
Tanner works for
Tanner
Homely,
works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
I got him a job there and then left.
yeah, wait, you were like, how long ago did you leave?
4 months?
Okay, so pretty recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
It's not been a long time.
What are your thoughts on that whole industry?
Like property technology?
Yeah. I know nothing about it. But like I heard that it's like just going like this all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it like this right now?
It's in the lull for sure.
Yeah.
And that's because transactions in real estate right now are unstable. From an investment standpoint, companies are unsure. So it's so funny to me, human psychology and investing. It's so hilarious because when times are really good, everyone likes to say, hey, buy fear, sell greed, blah, blah, blah. When the markets are down, it's just on sale, you should be buying. And markets are down right now. Who's buying?
Mm-hmm.
Not normal money.
Yeah.
Everyone's too scared.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I had a buddy a year and a half ago go, I can't wait till the market tanks. And it's going to. And I can't wait to buy a house. I called him, Steven.
Yeah.
He hasn't answered yet. He's been pretty busy. But he started his own company. And so I'm going to call him and say, hey, you going to buy a house soon? Markets are bad? No, rates are in the 6s and 7s. Like, too expensive to buy a home right now. Okay, listen. Rates are really bad. Once home prices correct, you go and get a 7% interest rate. Rates will recorrect in about 4 years. Refi out.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to me because like the Dow is down 30% year to date. The NASDAQ is down 28% or whatever it is year to date. And I dumped like a ton more money. Like I tripled my normal monthly investment into my... Can I help you? No,
Yes, you can.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, on the other side of the door.
he goes, let me in. Yeah,
You have
so
4 mics.
so the market's pretty bad. I think people should be investing wisely. You can still lose money. You can let them in. And so as it relates to property technology, prop tech, that's what it's called. I just don't shorten it with people who aren't familiar. So prop tech.
Because I would think you're talking about like car wash, like slinky guys.
Yeah.
Like prop tech.
Yeah. So prop tech, property technology is the idea.
I thought you were talking about like Spirit Halloween or something.
No. Yeah, it's an interesting space. I worked at Zillow Offers, which is the part of Zillow that was buying homes. And then they closed down, and I went to HomeLight before they closed. And HomeLight's got an awesome business model. And there's just not a lot of the people there, I think, are not real estate experts. And so property and technology mixing is a lot of people who leading that charge are experts in neither, which is really frustrating from what I've seen. You'll see companies like Open Door, which are Eric Wu is the CEO and the co-founder, or the founder rather, and he's from Tucson. And he graduated college.
Who? Open Door?
Open Door.
Yeah, I know the co-founder. I work with the co-founder.
Of Open
Did I
Door?
tell you about this?
No.
Yeah, you told me before that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, anyway, finish your...
So he goes to school and graduates. He owns 13 homes by the time he graduates. Keeps house hacking them. So he'll get a home, moved friends in, saved up another down payment, just moved again, bought another house, moved his friends in, just house hacked his way to 13 homes, and gets into this. So he becomes a real estate owner. And that's why I think Open Door does well, is because they are led by someone who knows real estate, and then he hires out software. Zillow is it shouldn't even be looked at as just a bad failure. It should be embarrassing, and it's because they are first and foremost like a marketplace for rental listings. Like you go there to list your house or to look for homes. That's a marketplace. Zillow Offers was this startup within a company who was like, we're going to allow someone to sell us their home. We will list it for them, take them out. We're going to liquidate the real estate market, make transactions more smooth. Okay, and so the president that they hired to start all of Zillow Offers was this guy who had been made pretty popular by, at one point in time, being a part of 2 companies that merged, that at the time they merged were the largest owner of single family properties in one company at a time ever. They broke a record. It was 45,000 or some amount of homes, which is a ton of homes. And so how do you take someone who's really good at being a landlord and say, you're going to start a company that buys and sells homes inside of 60 days profitably? 2 totally different skills. So from the start, I'm like, all right, we're already doomed to fail. I still work there. I was like, no, we're good. And it was bad. So being there was it was embarrassing because there was no real estate expertise. We were hiring people to underwrite homes who were previously insurance underwriters or fresh out of college or real estate agents, had a finance degree. And I'm not gatekeeping real estate. Real estate's really simple to understand, but it takes some common sense, and you have to understand your users. So the people who are buying homes, you have to understand them, homeowners. And so that was mostly what was missing at Zillow, was just a lack of actual real estate understanding. So then I get to HomeLight, and I'm like, okay, my manager at HomeLight, I still to this day, is a better underwriter than me.
Oh, I thought you were about to absolutely trash.
No.
I was like,
She is.
She didn't have a traditional background in real estate investing. And to this day, I still think she's better underwriting than me because she's really good at it. She's just very good at picking comps and making adjustments and seeing what's in the market. She's really, really talented. And I think other than her, I've never met someone better than me at that. So she's just incredible. Outside of her, I'm not trying to bag on everyone at HomeLight. no one else there like knows like anything about real estate except for like the people I hired on my pricing team, who most of them are now gone.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because you're trying to make decisions on real estate. Tanner's experiencing this right now. Trying to make decisions on real estate with people who like just have an MBA and think that they can do business, and they don't understand the real estate transaction life cycle. So Stoa's unique. It's like a breath of fresh air to be working with people who like understand real estate, because you don't have to explain like very common or normal stuff over. And you probably experienced this a little bit at your bank, but like, oh, hey. So yeah, it's nice working at Stoa. We're not as prop tech as some of these other guys because we're a lender. So we give people money who fix and flip houses, and then we buy it back from them.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little different.
So I have heard about this. I just didn't know the name.
Oh, so we used to be called Flip OS.
That's right.
We rebranded.
That's right.
So our parent company was already called Stoa, but
Yeah.
we were... Flip OS is just like... Then people weren't saying it right. They were saying Flippos. And OS means like operating system,
Yeah.
right? That's very nerd, like Silicon Valley stuff, like Mac, like iOS. But the problem is people with flip houses are not techies. They don't understand that, so they're going, yeah, I love Flippos.
Yeah.
And we're like, dog, that's not our name. Yeah. Say it right, put some respect on it. We did, dude, I'll never forget. I was like, there's no way they're saying that, are they? We did a customer like interview. Sure enough, he's like, yeah. And so when I email Flippos, I'm like, someone correct him, please.
Yeah.
So we rebranded for simplicity.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's been really good, and the company's just doing it right. Every time I move from like Zillow to Homelight to now Stoa, I keep going smaller and smaller in company. So I'm really liking the startup life.
Yeah.
I'm just really loving it. And Stoa's like, north of 100 employees. And we've raised a Series B. In Homelight, I came in at a Series C, and they had like 900 employees. And so I keep going smaller. I don't know how long I'll be at Stoa. I hope a long time. I love it there. I feel like I'm at home. Whereas at Homelight, I knew I was like on a timer. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I could tell, but even in the end of the first week, I just was like, I'm not happy with the way the ship is being steered. Mm-hmm. Like at many levels, like I'm not stoked. So I thought I'd be there like 4 years, get my equity, and then leave. I stayed for 1. And Stoa is very different, and I probably have a lot to say about my boss because he's probably the reason why it's awesome.
Huh.
He's.
I thought you were gonna talk crap about him again.
Yeah, right.
No, I've been very lucky with having good
I have
bosses.
some choice words for him. He's great.
Let me tell you the worst things about him: successful, exited founder
He
twice.
works too hard. He has no weaknesses.
Yeah, right.
He always has great feedback for me. It's the worst. He gives me too much trust.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's he gives me how do they say, enough leash to hang myself with. It's like you give someone trust to let them make mistakes.
Sure.
But that leash that I'm talking about is me taking on too many projects.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'm like, but I'll do it. So, yeah, it's been insane. But working at a startup feels as close as I remember to what being an entrepreneur felt like. Because for a while I had a flipping company. I flipped houses. Mm-hmm. And so I get the feeling of, I gotta make this. Like I have to succeed to pay my bills. And so startups are very much like I have to decide what I'm gonna do. I control my time. And if I'm a bad steward of the company's resources, that directly translates to wasted salary for the next 2 weeks. Mm. So I can't shake that. It drives me. I work pretty hard. I have a strong cutoff time, like 42 hours a week is like my max. Like if I can't do my job in 40 hours, then I'm inefficient.
Yeah.
So there are weeks where I work more than that because I must, but it's not the norm. So yeah, prop tech is fun. It's very up and down, like you were saying. And so it's not for the faint of heart. It's hard work, but I would have it no other way.
Do you miss being like a true entrepreneur?
Yes. And I'll be back one day for sure. I don't know how. Well, I kind of know how. Tanner and I want to buy a business, like a boring
An oil change.
like a boring company that prints money.
I actually love those businesses.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah, like a normal home services company, like I don't know, go find any pool cleaning company. They probably do $2 million a year. They have 7 employees. You'd never look twice at them.
Yeah.
I want to buy that. Add some tech, get someone to answer the phones, build a website for it, and then eat up the next 3 or 4 guys of their competition who are trying to retire.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to do that over and over and over again. And Tanner and I have jokingly said, like, let's build it where we both take home $1 million each. We live on $250 and we steward the other $750 for the church. And I was like, deal. So that's kind of like our running joke of metrics we're trying to shoot for. But
yeah.
it's very slow. I have golden handcuffs, and so like I'm not pressured to like go find something because I love my job. It pays well. I've just really enjoyed it too, and but I think especially these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks especially, the more I feel like the Lord is certainly calling me into more kingdom work, if I can say it that way. So like I can't wait for college ministry to kick off, and so I get off work at 5 and I'm like, okay, let's do something that matters.
Yeah.
So it just feels nice to be able to say I'm doing stuff at work that impacts people, and I can do it in a way that loves people and serves Christ. And I work with like Kyle Walker and Raina and a few other people who I've worked with in the past who are Christians, and it's awesome to have, but a part of me still itches to be like the time freedom from being an entrepreneur, which is probably why I'm drawn to it, is motivating me to say I want to get in the kingdom work full time. So it'd be cool to take a job with Christ Church and say no salary, or give me $1 salary.
Yeah.
Something dumb. But so yeah, that's kind of what I see in my future.
Nice.
I sure hope, at least. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'd be neat. Tanner's someone who I didn't actually expect to be so close with. Because like for a year, it feels like he just like pursued me. Like me and him were cool, we're cordial. And he would like reach out to me and be like, hey, let's get lunch. And I'm like, in the back of my brain, because I'm so untrusting, I go, yeah, why? Like, what do you want to talk to me for? I have nothing to offer you. And then it was like every quarter he would just be like, let's get lunch. And then it was every month. And I was like, man, you're a really great guy. So, and I just respect him like crazy. And we've grown really close because of it. But yeah, it was awesome for him to pursue me, because otherwise the friendship would not be there. Yeah, I really appreciate him doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. I love Tanner.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's my best customer for my handyman business.
He's your only customer. Well, I guess I've hired you.
Him and KJ.
Yeah.
That's funny.
KJ's like, yeah, I need you to come do this for me. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, man.
It's really cool.
Dude. Yeah, the entrepreneur life is the best.
I
It's
want
the
him
best.
to like start like his own handyman business.
Dude.
And
He wants me to go full time.
Dude, you should do it. There literally is not a better time than now to do it.
Oh,
The
if you can
ability,
work
like-
on people's houses and stuff, like, I already
like,
have too much work.
The accessibility to like available clientele, especially for you, and people's like chronic unwillingness to do work themselves.
Yeah.
Like you are in such a I mean, every entrepreneur is in such a gold mine right now when
Yeah.
it comes to like being a specialist or an expert in a niche.
Right.
Like it's the best life ever. You get to
how
do
much
it
work do you
anywhere.
think you get just by being like someone who responds to emails and does what they say they're going to do? Do you think that you even stand out in your field of specialists?
I would like to think I stand out. I wouldn't even say necessarily for the work that I do, but for the way that I interact with my clients. I think like being someone that people can trust and want to be around is almost like as important, if not more important, than the actual skill that you have.
Yeah, they do
Like-
business with people they trust, which is someone they like.
Yeah, and want to be around, genuinely enjoy being around. Like I know a couple filmmakers who, in my opinion, which it doesn't matter, I think are like bad filmmakers, bad
Okay.
videographers.
Yeah.
But they make hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, working 20 hours a week, because they found the right people that want to work with them.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
And there's a part of me that's just like, yeah, but like you're losing the art of it or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, shoot, like make your own little short films on the side and
Yeah.
So
they pay the bills.
Yeah, and then pay the bills
Right.
and create a comfortable life for your family and be generous with the excess, and who wouldn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you have to have a valuable skill. You have to be honest with yourself in the ways that you're like not strong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Work on those things
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I see, especially with people like my age or our age,
Yeah.
is that people don't stick with things anymore.
Yeah.
People plant seeds and they wait for it to grow for 5 minutes, and then they walk onto the next patch of soil and plant a seed and then do the same thing. And people are like, well, I'm 25 and I feel like I have nothing to show for professionally. And my question, I never actually ask the question because oftentimes I don't have enough relational equity with the person. But my question I wish I could ask is, like, how long did you stick with it for? Or how hard did you really try to, like, become an expert in your craft?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fascinating to me.
It's a good point.
I'm not special, I would say, like, when it comes to being a filmmaker. People make so much better work than I do. There's this fashion designer who's like such a whiz kid. He's started his label, I think, when he was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember it. I can't remember how old. His name's Reese Cooper. He's younger than me. World famous brand now. Like Travis Scott wore his stuff. I know everyone hates Travis Scott.
I feel like I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Reese Cooper, yeah.
But someone asked, like in an interview, like, what's so special about you, or how did you, get to this type of level of success? And he's like, we're not particularly talented. We just work really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's like a little bit more to it than that, but the idea is just like sticking with something for longer than you want to until you see.
Show up every day.
Show up every day. Do it even when you don't feel like doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be in Iowa for 12 days shooting 56 videos for this car wash masterclass. You think I wanted to be there? Like, and there were times when it was actually really enjoyable, but it was hard work.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, I would have never gotten that opportunity if I hadn't been fostering that relationship, genuinely, like, enjoying the times that I was working with that company and those people for the last 3 years. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have gotten that job.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
So I wouldn't say it's easier for you because you started right from high school, but the challenge for you is certainly golden handcuffs and risk of failure because you already have a career right now.
Yeah, but not really. I have a job. I don't have a career. I guess I have.
You could turn into a
I
career.
could. I wouldn't. I'm like, no.
But
Watching
It's a career. It's a career.
Yeah, that's
when
Might
someone
not be
says, what do you do? And you're like,
you
commercial
want to
banking.
do,
That's
but
a good point.
you could do it for
Yeah.
the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I could make enough.
Go up the ladder.
For sure, yeah.
But, like, the reward is for the risk takers. Like, the real, like...
And I
there
enjoy
is-
it.
For sure.
Like, I already know exactly, like, what I would do, and in 5 years' time, I would probably make $300,000-$400,000. Like, I already know that. Because, like, I know enough people in all types of construction, actually, and all you need is a couple business licenses, which just take a couple years to get. And then it's like...
Wait, why would you... Oh, okay, yeah.
Like
you're right.
ROC, and then if I want to specialize in something, I would need... Sometimes you need a specific license for that.
Yeah.
I think
like,
you're a millionaire in a decade if you started your own, like, pick any of them. Electric, plumbing, just GC work in general, home remodeling. And the only reason why is because you already have even if you just took client work from church and you actually finished a job you bid, you would be a millionaire.
So, a friend of mine, he's I'll just be careful because it's like a podcast, but a friend of mine is a real estate developer. I think you guys probably both know him, but I had coffee with him the other day.
Yeah.
And obviously he does really well. He's been working at it like longer than I've been alive. And God's really blessed that for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I want to get into project management. He's like, you need a degree. He's like, that is the thing you have to have. He's like, you want to work on a $15 million project, you have to have a degree. And then as we, 30 minutes go by and we're talking, and I was like, I just see people in my life who I'm friends with. And, some of them have some money and some of them are starting to make money. And I was like, and I just imagine like how well off they'll be in, let's say, 15 years. And I was like, if I just worked really hard in construction and in 15 years and I decided to be a developer, I was like, I could mimic what you did. And he goes, he's like, now you're thinking. Yeah. And I was like, and that's not appealing to me for the money. It's appealing to me for like the challenge, to be able to build something big. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. And just like the freedom, I guess, to be able to do it, work your face off for it. Like, it's different than like clocking in. So I've been thinking.
What do you mean work your face off? Like would you seriously enjoy working like 70 hours a week?
Yeah. So for example, right now, and I'm not saying it's always fun, but like I work about 45 hours a week for the bank. And then the other day, like I literally came home, changed into work clothes, construction clothes, and I just like a small job, but it was like I did a drywall job for Jon. And like it took me a little bit. I've never done drywall before, so like it took me a little bit and
1,000x return on his material cost.
Yeah, you know, and like I got the drywall for free from a friend. It was like $15 at Home Depot, and I was like, whatever, that's $15, you know, and it was just really good. And he's finding all of this out right now. But I got you really good spackling from Home Depot.
Yeah, was dropping on our conversation.
Yeah, get out of here, this guy.
Yeah, no. Last night they were saying to me, you paid $200 to have your stuff fixed, and I was like, funny? I just wanted it done.
You know what's funny is on the way home I was thinking of that when they were like, you paid $200 for that, and I was like, no, that's actually fair pricing.
I know it is. That's why I paid it.
So when people go,
he got a steal.
When people go literally, like that guy Nick, I'll just say verbatim what he said because like I didn't say it, but he goes, you could find some guy Jose and his son to do it for like whatever, and I'm like, no, you can't.
They're too busy.
They actually
because they're good at their work.
And $200 for like a few hours of work.
Let me tell you something. Like, so a GC is the one who like gave me that price, $200 to fix the drywall in my house. Had Steven even come back to me and said, "Bro, I can do that for like $300," I would have said, "Okay, when can you have it done?" I would not have even cared, and it's because I wanted it done more than I wanted it. To me, I don't know what it cost, and I don't care what it cost.
I don't know how to price, so I was actually thinking $300. I had no idea.
But yeah, I only quoted you $200 because a GC told me $200.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that was because he was already going to be drywalling something else. He's going to just use leftover pieces.
To answer your question though, like, do I think I'd be happy if I was would I be happy running my own business? Yeah, because I would feel the 70 hours, but I wouldn't feel the 70 hours. It's like it almost never quite turns off. So it's like, yeah, you're working 70 hours, but sometimes it feels like when you're running something, it just feels like you're kind of living life, and the difference between life and work just kind of overlap. That's how I've done it. But then again, I've always been, I've never been married, like all these things, so I don't have to turn it off.
Well, okay, you probably don't count the hour. You're not like, oh, I work 40 hours a week, right?
I don't work 40 hours a week. I don't work even.
You don't even count your hours, I'm sure.
No.
You have a rough idea because you know when you kind of start and stop.
Yeah.
But people who work and have jobs, ones that they're not in love with, count the hours.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I know you're not working 40 hours a week,
right.
but you're like, if you landed like, if Miller Lite was like, yo, we love your work, we want to hire you. And they're like,
I'm a Bud Light kind of guy.
And they're like, we need you to get like 2 more guys, and we need a camera crew of 3, whatever it is. And they're like, here's our project, and you're like scoping out, and you're like, it's gonna be like 60 hours a week, but it's gonna take 3 months. You'd probably be like, I'm in, because it's just like you like the work, and it's like a $3 million paycheck in 3 months. That's a totally different. But you're still not counting the hours because you enjoy it. It sounds like.
Yeah, I don't like working. At the end of the day, like I don't enjoy it. I don't like working.
Cash and checks is what he likes.
I like buying time back.
Yeah,
and I don't know if we were talking about this last night.
You said it last night a few times.
Yeah, like that. It's a new concept for me.
Yeah.
Because I have always been like a team of one for a long time until the last couple of years when I started getting to like bigger commercial production where I need people.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like you, especially like in entrepreneurship, you can get to a point to where it makes sense to buy your time back. And this one guy, his name is Rich Webbs, on Instagram. Such a great influence of mine when it comes to productivity. But he's like, I think you might have been here for this too. He's like, you're gonna drive an extra 5 miles and spend 30 minutes in line for Costco gas to save $5.
Yeah.
So like
so
you just
dumb.
wasted, like say you want to be making $150 an hour, you just wasted $150 to save $5.
Right.
Right.
So, but money is worth more, or money is not more valuable than time,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and being young and having time and money is like the trifecta, right? Everyone
Right.
says that you can't have all three.
Right.
What if you can?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I
But-
think you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What were we talking about? Working 70 hours a week?
Yeah,
But you're
you-
talking about like buying time.
buying
back.
your time
So,
back.
oh yeah, so
Can I
say
just
like,
say buying your time back is a really healthy way of just looking at investing in your business.
totally.
You know what I
or
mean?
investing in your personal life too.
Right.
So like say Instacart. Instacart's a great example. If you really do hate grocery shopping,
Which I do.
pay $100 a year
Yeah.
for someone to go pick out groceries for you.
So, okay. My wife, penny pincher,
Yeah.
shops at Goodwill, hates that I wear Lulu. Just my one drawer of clothes is all of her clothing combined and then $50 left over. And I'm not exaggerating because Steven and Ariel got in an argument about this. She goes, no, like my entire wardrobe's maybe $200. And it's because she literally will go and buy clothes at Goodwill when it's like 80% off day on already a $2 shirt. So she's like getting $2 for a shirt.
Yeah.
It's how she shops. It's her
So,
thing.
does she like doing that?
She loves doing that.
Okay, so it's like a hobby.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
hobbies
So-
are off the table.
The Walmart thing though. So that's who Ariel is.
Yeah,
And I hate going to the store to get stuff.
yeah,
And because I'm like, if I go grocery shopping, whether I spend $50 or $300 in groceries, the fastest I can get in and out of that Walmart is like 60 minutes, including drive time.
yeah.
And it's right there, like really close. And so I'm going $8 for delivery. I'm in, and I'm like, so I lived in this condo for a month before we got married. And for a month, I was just king of the world because at Walmart delivery every week, and I bought the same food for 4 weeks in a row because I'm just that guy. And
But think about it. You just
saved an hour
4
a
hours.
week.
Yeah.
you saved yourself an hour of minimum wage,
at least.
right?
which is
or
like
it's
nothing.
probably like back 2016 hour minimum
Right.
wage or whatever.
Right.
But
I
like
was
yeah,
a big fan.
for sure. I think it's still a great idea because
Me
then
too.
instead of hating your life for 60 minutes, you were doing something that you enjoy.
I'm like Dwight Schrute at Walmart. I'm like, we need another plague.
Well, you're a Walmart, so
Yeah, it's miserable.
You see plague-worthy people.
Yeah.
You see the people spreading the plagues. in
So,
Walmart.
so as a good husband, dying to myself, Ariel goes, she's like, $8 to have it delivered, that's expensive. I'm like, fam, listen. It ain't that bad. It's a steal. We're getting the deal here. So she was like, if you hate it that much, then I'll go. Of course, when she goes, I go.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going there, that dangerous place by yourself.
Yeah.
No, but like, I'm a huge fan. And one way I look at buying my time back is by getting groceries delivered, which now we just go. It's whatever. I'm like, fine. It's time spending together.
You don't want to talk about it?
I hate it.
Okay.
But
that one.
no, I love that idea. And I would love to hear more about how you're doing it and like how you view it as well. I love that.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time afraid that if I gave money to other people to do things like within the film world, then I wouldn't have enough.
Okay.
And through like various mentors and more so like online inspiration, to be honest with you, kind of getting rid of that scarcity mentality and just like realizing that it takes like you have to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
Like it's a true statement.
Yeah. Like, what's the
And
most valuable thing you can do in your business?
For
What's the
me?
highest ROI activity you could do in your business?
like logistically?
Yeah.
I would say paying people to edit videos.
Okay.
Okay.
That is probably the biggest return on investment because, I pitch a project, it gets, accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't charge hourly anymore. I charge based off of the value of the project and the
Yeah.
measure of success, given the,
So then what's the most valuable thing that your clients get from you? Is it you holding the camera, being on a set?
the most valuable thing that I think my clients get from me is the confidence that I'm going to complete the job and do it well.
Yeah.
So the confidence that I'm actually going to do what I say I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So their value that they get out of me is my under-promising and over-delivering every time. That's like what I try to do. It's like I can do this, and always trying to surprise them with something better than what I promised them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think about people who...
Does that make sense? Did I...
No, it does.
Okay. Yeah.
There's guys that I know in the real estate space who are like, the most valuable thing I can ever do is find another deal. So they're big real estate guys. So they're always looking for their next property.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to
Do you
flip the
believe that?
home, absolutely. Because that's the life of their business, is finding the next deal to purchase.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to raising money, hire a guy for that. Money's easy when deals are there. When it comes time to flipping the home, hire a GC. When you need someone to manage the GCs, hire a project manager.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick colors. I don't want to be on construction sites. I don't want to deal with hard money lenders. Hire out for all that. And so sure, you're paying more of the 100%, but instead of doing 10 deals a year, they're doing 100. And who technically wins out? The principal, the guy who's running the show.
Yeah.
And the number one thing in real estate is finding the next deal. And so there's these guys who, when I started flipping, I did all of that.
Yeah.
Like everything but the work.
Yeah.
And they said, if you really want to scale, you need to start outsourcing the work that you do that doesn't turn into dollars. What are you valuable? What are you good at, John? And then that's what you're charging people for. Mm-hmm. And so that was taught to me very early on, like outsource yourself as quick as possible. So don't do driving for dollars. Don't call bank REO lists. Don't call foreclosure lists. Pay some kid to do that.
Yeah.
Who's trying to get his foot in the door in real estate. So yeah, I very much agree with you. Like editing
sure.
and especially things you don't like either.
Yeah.
Maybe someone likes it.
And like the thing, especially when it comes to a creative field, one of my mentors told me this. He said, because you're an expert in the field, like, and I can call myself an expert because I've literally dedicated my professional life to filmmaking.
Right.
He says, like, your 75% is probably going to be better than your client's expectation of what 100% is.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, you're going to, he said, every minute that you spend trying to get from your 75% to your 100% is most likely a waste of time.
No kidding.
If
Wow.
you're,
That's
if you're
interesting.
like doing work for a client. So it obviously there's gray areas. If it's just a corporate job where you're just trying to sell a product and capture that, like, if it's not like a personal short film where like, this is my new portfolio piece, obviously I want to get that to what I think 100% is.
Yeah.
But if it's for like, you know, the commercial about some guy selling Yeti bottles,
Yeah.
like, you know, the local, you know, guy or whatever, like,
Just get
if
the
he
message
is
across. Yeah.
ecstatic about my 75%, why would I waste my time? Like
Law of
all that
diminishing
extra time
returns,
getting to
right.
my 100% when he would be so excited about the 75%.
Yeah, makes sense.
So when I really started putting that into practice is when I started realizing I was just wasting so much time trying to like make these projects perfect
Right.
when it just was not worth the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the law of diminishing returns.
100%.
It's harder to get to that 90%. It takes so much effort.
For sure. And it's just not worth it for most paid projects because at the end of the day, you're just trying to tell someone's, like, it's not even that much about telling people's stories anymore. It's just trying to communicate a product, the value of a product that they're selling effectively.
Right.
And so with that, it's like, this is the thing. You light it well, you shoot it, you have a good, you know, voiceover, and then you're good to go. And people, it's crazy how much money people will pay for that nowadays.
Yeah. How do you handle, so for example, like if someone asked me to do something that I've never done before, and I think trades might be a little bit different than like maybe filmmaking.
Yeah.
So like for me, like someone was like, hey, like I need insulation blown in my walls. I'm like, the walls are there?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was like, I think I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But I just watch a YouTube video. Right? And maybe I don't have the equipment, so I have to make the investment, buy the equipment, or rent it. And for you, it's like, there's probably an element every time where like, I don't know how to do this yet. So like, I guess my question is like, as an entrepreneur, like, how do you go into that mindset and be like, I don't know how to do this. Like, do you ever get nervous still?
Oh my gosh, every time.
Yeah.
I'm shooting the easiest video tomorrow. The easiest video. It's like a birthday video for this company.
$10,000.
It's for Nicolas Cage.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's for Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm nervous about it.
Right.
But so to answer your question, I learned this. Like you should always feel like how do you say it? If you're taking on work that makes you feel uncomfortable in a healthy way, then you're in the right place.
Yeah, yeah.
If you feel like you like got it down,
Yeah.
then you should like reach higher. But so if it's something where it's like, okay, I've never shot, or for you, like I've never built a set of stairs before.
Yeah, right.
I have all the tools to complete it. I don't need to get anything else. I can watch a couple of YouTube videos. They just don't want to do it. What I've done in my field is charging, I think it's called like a discovery fee or a discovery price, which is just a discounted rate of how you would normally do it. If you're confident that you can get the job done, there might be a little bit of risk in there. Like you just charge a discounted version or a discounted rate and being honest with them, hey, like I haven't built a set of stairs before. I've built similar things. I have all the tools. It's kind of the same thing. Being upfront about that and saying, because this is my first project here, like, would you be okay if we did this for a discounted rate?
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're taking yourself to school, and this person is giving you a project, like a school project,
right,
and paying you to do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like you do it for the cost of materials. Say you're like, shoot, I'm really good at building stairs.
Yeah.
And then the next client is like, can you buy me a set of stairs? You're like, I got it down. I know how to do it.
Right.
Then you charge your regular fee, or maybe a little bit less of a discount next time.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Tanner's having me do the yoga studio. Like literally, he's like, I need you to demo it. This was 3 weeks ago. So like, I went in there and it's just destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Here I am 3 weeks later. He goes, hey, do you want to like drywall it, paint it, and do all this stuff, finish it? And I was like,
But did you catch how he framed it? Like, you know what I mean by framing? He framed the proposition of the discount rate.
yeah, no, yeah, I did.
It's,
I did catch
hey,
that, yeah.
I have the tools. I'm confident I could probably get this done. Would you be okay doing this for cheaper, like paying me less? It's a discount rate.
Yeah.
As a customer, I'm going, well, absolutely. But I hear you that you're saying you're not as confident. Like the framing of that's really powerful.
Yes.
Well, it's not about, I don't think it's necessarily about confidence. It's just honesty and your lack of experience.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And people, especially in construction, feeling like people are telling you the truth is like gold.
All,
no one
all
does.
day.
Like when we were building our house, when I felt like people were lying to me, it was the most annoying thing. And they do it all the time.
I'll get it done tomorrow.
But when someone said they were going to do something and did it, I would have paid like 50% more.
Isn't that annoying how there's like nothing else in construction where people who just do their job are the greatest contract. We're like,
just do their
when you text like if you text me and you're like, hey, do you have a good plumber? And I could respond with, by good, do you mean just does what he says he's going to do? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Like, why is that the case?
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
But that's like, it's like sticking with your planted seeds and doing what you say you're going to do, and like you'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's
Yeah,
crazy
for sure.
is you experience this when there are changes to construction. Talk about them immediately. Hey, there's got to be a change order because of this problem. Want to keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you for telling me that there's something going on.
For sure, transparency.
I'm out sick for 3 days. At least I didn't call you thinking you were dead.
Totally.
Like you fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But like for your position, to lie and be like, I know how to build stairs,
Right,
and then you
right.
botch the project,
Dude, yeah.
Like
like
it goes through.
it's the worst. And not only do you have a failed project on your hands, but you have a bad review.
For sure. Yeah.
Like you have that person will never
Yeah.
recommend you ever again. But if you come up front with honesty, if that person wants a skilled person, then you owe them the honesty of saying, I'm not experienced, find someone else.
Yeah.
But if that person is willing to take a chance on you,
Yeah.
even if you botch the whole thing, you're like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, it was just the cost of materials. That's it. Yeah, you're like, don't charge anything else or whatever.
Yeah.
Then at least you know how not to build stairs this
Totally
time.
right. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's a great point.
Some ways I've thought about, because like if I really want to turn the faucet on and like do this thing, and I get some like pretty technical jobs, I've literally thought about like hiring guys who are better than me and just going like, hey, I'm working on this for free under your license or whatever. You're gonna run the whole job, and like you're just gonna teach me everything. Because there's like 2 guys I know who would do that for me. One of them is a realtor, and he's getting his GC license.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'll take anything you have.
Really?
He's a really good tradesman.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you rather work 80 hours a week and make $1 million a year, or work 10 hours a week and make $100,000 a year?
10 for 100 for sure.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm not motivated by money anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I would do the $1 million for 1 year, just so we're clear.
No, you have. It's got to be your life.
For your
My life?
It's got to be your life till you retire.
Oh shoot,
Yeah,
10
stupid.
all day.
Otherwise, of course, I would choose the second one, and I would never work again or whatever.
I feel like so many people live within a fantasy that's like never gonna come true. Where if I just like keep working harder, if I work more, then I'll get to this place.
Yeah.
And then you are never home
Yeah.
for your kids
Right.
or your family.
Yeah.
You never got to actually do that, like that golf trip or the road trip or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You spend your whole, like, dude, Jordan Peterson has such a good quote about this. Like how people work their whole lives so that they can spend the rest of their lives in Jamaica on a beach.
Right.
He's like, life is not margaritas on a beach in Jamaica.
Yeah,
It's not.
Like,
it's boring.
for 15 minutes, it's gonna be fun for 15 minutes of your life, basically. And then you'll have to go back to
So
like
true. Yeah.
the things that you've put off so that you could get there.
Yeah. Dude, when I started in air conditioning, I was with this I was employee number 3, like just mom and pop shop, right? And they found out that my uncle runs a successful company in Prescott.
Yeah.
He's the sole proprietor. He's like also 2 employees, but he does like the commercial stuff, much bigger projects. Makes residential look like a cakewalk. It's ridiculous. And it was summertime, right? So it's busy for air conditioning. And we're like working, 14-hour days, 6 days a week basically. It's just intense. And they're like, how's your uncle doing? And I'm like, oh, he's killing it. As he has been the last 15 years. Like, he just keeps making more. He works the same. Like, he's like, but right now he's in Africa.
Yeah.
Just with his family.
Yeah.
And they looked at me and they were like, how does he run a company and go to Africa in the busiest season? And I was like, he just goes. That's how. You stop, because they were worried about like losing business, pissing off customers, all these things. And I'm like, no, he just goes. Like, the customers know him. There's nowhere else to go to.
Yeah. Well, if you create a culture of that,
Yes.
then you're gonna attract customers and clients who are just gonna like have to deal with it.
And he does what you were talking about, like that principle of just being honest, being upfront. Like, you don't find that in contractors. And he just does that.
Totally, yeah. And because of that, like, he's won in the professional world, and he gets to be in Africa for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
They have very different businesses though, but
Of
they
course.
could achieve the same thing.
Well, yeah.
Those people didn't know how to run a business outside of themselves.
That
So
is
they didn't know how to
true.
grow it. Uncle Matt, you can't go to anyone else.
Yeah, that is
So
very
he
true.
leaves and comes back, and they go, "Thank goodness you're back."
He has what Warren Buffett refers to as like a moat.
Yes, his
Like,
protection.
it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Whereas, that company that you worked for, there's 90 competitors in
Yeah.
the state.
Dude, working at a startup I had worked at once before, just seeing like
A real startup, like Google the sheets and duct tape, like, just raw business.
well, I was a technician for them. I used to work on like industrial conveyors and stuff, and I saw the money that isn't like. There's just so much money in it, and I'm like, this is just working on basically cars, like it's motors, drives, like bolts,
Yeah.
a little bit of electrical, and I was just like, this is. One guy comes in, he's probably getting $40 an hour. He's a well-paid technician from Germany, because everything's German. You know, and it's like we paid the company like $7,000 for a day's worth of work, and I was like, bro, like we had to fly him from Germany, and I'm like, I could do that, like,
Yeah.
and I was just like, even then I was like, I should learn how to work on this stuff.
Have you heard about like, have you heard of like the big four consulting firms in America?
I just know of Deloitte.
It's like, let's take Deloitte for example.
We
What-
use them.
What's
Bank-
that?
The bank I work for, they
Yeah.
use Deloitte. Yeah.
So these big consulting firms, let's say you wanted to hire a consulting firm to say, hey, help me target the top 50 clients in this niche that would need my type of videos.
Yeah.
And you're like, how much would that cost for you guys to build me like a consultation deck for that? 50-page slide, demographics, cities, people, context, the whole shebang. They'd probably say, well, that'll probably take us about 100 hours to do. So, we'll charge you $1 million, like literally. And then you find out that the analysts that they hire for this are making like a tenth of that rate. But McKinsey and Deloitte are making like 10x what they pay their employees, who are like some of the highest paid employees on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because they pay their employees are called consultants too, and they literally only get paid by billable hours to people like you. Like if they're not valuable to the company in terms of billable hours they have to report, they'll get fired. And it's not, you're not W-2. You are a consultant
Right.
for a consulting firm
Yeah.
where you're kind of like competing for work.
Yeah.
And so then like you would interview a panel of like consultants and then you'd pick like the 4 that you want. And it's like you see on there their billable hour rate is like $35 an hour plus the $75 an hour for Deloitte, and you're paying like $110. And you're like, whatever, like you're cool with it. And that analyst is going, I make a third of what they make and I'm doing all the work for this. It's so crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why just be okay with being a small fish in your own pond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like get people to like fish in your own pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I'm gonna go on like a wild rant, but yeah, it's just it's crazy to me that people still work at Starbucks.
Dude.
Like Starbucks sucks. Starbucks is so bad.
Yeah.
Everyone hates their lives.
They wake up at 3:00 in the morning to serve coffee for $13 an hour. You don't like that.
Yeah.
So outside of people, I think like with mental health issues, outside of them, you have to choose to stay poor in America.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to talk about.
I did too. I was like, he's just
working at
matter of
Starbucks having
fact.
No, I'm just saying you have to choose to be poor in this country.
Yeah, it's.
You can't. It's just lazy. I told this to my wife. I said, "You drop me off with, I'm not kidding you, just a pair of clothes, no backpack, cell phone, money at all, no contacts. Drop me off in like St. Louis. Give me 3 years, I'll be back to 6 figures." And that's because I would beg for money until I got enough to buy a cheap $500,000 car. You Lyft or Uber.
You said you'd like lose all of your skills like back to a certain level.
Yeah, so
Right.
like I didn't know real estate. I don't know how to sell. Like let's say I even just started my skill set over. The only thing I knew how to do was hold a sign.
Yeah.
And the only thing I knew after that was that Uber was a thing
Yeah.
or DoorDash was a thing. Save up $1,000, like live like crap, and then just do anything you can to make $1,000. Go buy the cheapest, dirtiest, broken car you can get that hopefully lasts you a few months. And now you're gonna DoorDash. Now you're gonna Uber Eats. You're gonna do anything for money.
Yeah.
Within a year, you're in a crappy apartment. I just don't see it's impossible not to. Like you have to choose to be broke. It's so hard.
Well, it's hard when you it's hard when you grow up and you spend your whole life in an environment that enables you to live that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And an environment that where there is not a single person for a lot of people's lives that are like a form of wise counsel to them or
Right.
Yeah.
people. What I'm trying to say is I thought a lot about that too, and it's really like frustrating to see, and it still is to like in my perspective, but people just don't have the tools. People
Yeah.
don't know.
That's a really good point.
That's the hard thing when you've been conditioned to believe a certain thing, or at least to not know, to be ignorant
Right.
about how the world works, or about like the ability to like scale something. How else could you expect someone to live any other way?
I do think education is an issue. The other thing I think that's challenging too is for people who get caught in lower middle class, life is full of the distractions. So like when you work at Starbucks, you make ends meet and you get home and you just want to rest. And then you do the endless time scroll for 6 hours and you go to sleep and you wake up and you hate your life still.
Yeah.
It's so hard to, even if you know it's right, to like put the phone down and go do something productive for the 6 hours instead.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
because you just want to rest and you're like, I worked really hard. I dealt with people who thought they were literally British royalty,
Yeah.
ordering a drink I don't even know how to pronounce, and they're just jerks and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Totally. And that's why I hate Starbucks, not Starbucks employees.
Yeah.
Like, because they fostered
Yes.
an environment like that where they work people and
For a $7 drink.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And then people become, you get a bunch of entitled people walking in because they're paying $7 for a coffee. Of course, they're gonna feel entitled to like a good coffee.
It has to be worth it.
Totally, yeah.
It's $1.50 worth of material and coffee beans.
For sure, yeah. And I come from a place where like I had so much opportunity to, I had so much more time and opportunity to thrive than I would say like, I don't want to say the average person because like our family never had money or anything. We just had
Support.
I just had a
You had
home.
family support.
I just had like a room to stay in.
Yep.
My parents were they weren't gonna pay for my college. Like I wasn't gonna do any of that stuff. But I did have that cushion time. But
Yep.
when you're 25 and you have to pay bills and you work at Starbucks and you're barely making ends meet and you get home and you're exhausted because you're just drinking coffee for 6 hours and you crashed.
Yep.
And TikTok's a thing. And like it's that stuff is like making
And life
you
should
dumber.
still be not miserable. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, it is
You know the
just hard when you
example.
don't have the tools. Like, and I think about that a lot.
So, right. So the example I gave you, where I was like, drop me off in St. Louis, and I'll be in 3 years making 6 figures.
Yeah.
In whatever, however I'm doing it, right? The difference is those 3 years were full of misery. It was only hard work.
Yeah.
You know, it was pure hard work, and so that's why I'm like, there is absolutely a level of sacrifice. But that's why, for example, and this is so trivial. That might even be the wrong word, but why does everyone want 6-pack? It's really hard, and that's why it's valuable. If everyone could just get one, it would be so worthless. And so I think of the same thing when it comes to like having something that provides stability, like a good income or a business. It's just not easy because if it was, everyone would have it.
Yeah.
And so it's a really hard argument because I think you make a fair point on there's like a lack of education, and how can you expect someone to know that you could go get licensed in insurance and make $100,000 your first year selling insurance, which is like the easiest sales I've ever done. The money's so easy, it felt illegal. It was crazy. People were just buying it because life insurance is a common thing. People know they need it because everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
It's like the best deal since ever.
Yeah.
And but people don't know how easy it is to go get licensed and just start selling life insurance. So there's a lack of education with just that. You don't need a degree or a high school diploma or anything. You just got to pass a 100-question test.
For sure.
And it felt like the best kept secret I've ever seen once we got into insurance. It was crazy. Yeah. Like we saw dummies making like $10,000 a week. Dumb, absolute idiots. And I'm like, you should not be allowed to sell life insurance. But the program was dummy proof.
Yeah.
They weren't even deciding how much to sell you. Like the company decided. Like there was real underwriters, people with real degrees. They just needed a salesman.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was crazy. So there is a lack of education, and so I do think it's unfair for me to still say like, drop me off in a city, give me 3 years, I'll make 6 figures, even with no skills, because I know how to approach it. And that's why I also like to differentiate, like there's a homelessness issue or a job issue from people who have real mental problems, because you can't expect them to straighten up. It's something deeper.
Yeah.
People I look at are complainers, pity, poor me.
The Starbucks workers. Like
all of them.
The people who have like the people who have jobs.
Yeah.
who are stuck.
Yeah.
Like
They choose to
they're not
pretty
at
much
rock
stay
bottom,
there.
but people who, yeah, I think, and you just see this in the world so much today, like people just throwing their argument to either very end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And this conversation is, there's no excuse for you to be poor. That's that one end of the spectrum. And then the other end of the spectrum is like, the system's against you. It's now impossible. You're screwed.
Yeah.
And the answer lies somewhere in here.
It does.
For each and every individual.
Right. And it's
not
different for
this,
all of them.
And it's not this.
Right.
Like, especially in America. Like, everyone is somewhere in the middle here.
Yeah, there might be a few people on each end, the outliers, and that's just the law of math. Like,
Sure.
there might be someone who it's only their fault, and then there are others where it's like, you keep waking up and having bad days.
Yeah.
You know, like, first it was your tire was out, then your taillight's out, and you get pulled over by a cop. You happen to be black, and he's a racist cop, and now you're going to jail for the night, and you lose your job because of it. Like, that happens, absolutely. Most people sit in the middle. Absolutely, sit in the middle where it's like...
Luckily, even then, I think the extremities are both temporary.
Sure,
Luckily.
absolutely.
I mean, something should change,
Yeah.
you know?
No, yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Which is interesting, yeah.
But, yeah, like, the people who win are the people who risk.
Yeah.
The people who, like, yeah, take some time to cut your teeth so that you can eventually get to a time where you can actually buy your time back, to where you're not exhausted coming home from work,
Right.
feeling stuck. But that does take, like, going the extra mile for the extra miles, going
Yeah.
a few extra miles
Yeah.
for a while,
Right.
until you start to see the fruit of your work.
Yeah.
But I'm just I'm so thankful that, like, by God's generosity and His grace, that, like, I found this passion when I was like, I started when I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
and like I had wise counsel to tell me to, like, take a risk while there is no risk, basically.
Right. Yeah, you could have fallen flat on your face. You'd be fine.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I, like, failed miserably so many times, but I had the privilege, and genuinely is a privilege, of, like, yeah, having, like, something soft to fall on
Yeah.
for a time. But, yeah, and then it's just like, okay, well, I want to jump higher now. I want to jump for a higher thing and see if I can balance that tightrope, and if I fall, it might hurt a little bit more.
You know, there's a
Yes.
persona in this conversation that I think gets overlooked a lot. And the reason why I'm aware of it is because this is who Ariel is. She's actually been seeing, because of who I am, I'm always the guy who's like, you should do what you love, even if you're at a W-2. Try to find something you love or love the people you work with. And she's the kind of person who will work a job. She doesn't have to love it. In fact, she could hate it. And it fuels or pays for a lifestyle that she loves. So she loves to travel. She's been at a company for like 3 years. I hate it. My last 3 jobs have been like a year and one or 2 months, and then I'm like, I'm promoting myself. And that's how I look at it. I'm like, if you're not, and I tell you, humble brag real quick, my last 3 companies, I've said in the, 2 of them, I said in the interviews, I go, if you don't promote me in about a year, like, I will promote myself. I'm not joking. And they did not take me seriously, and then I was gone. So anyway, and I just meant it because I'm like, I will outgrow this, and then I need something new. Like, I need more. And so Ariel said that she's always been taught, her parents very much do this. Her mom has been at the same job for like, I think 20 years. Her dad did the same work for like 15 years, and then he retired. Work isn't something that's supposed to fulfill you. It's just what pays the bills, and then you live your life outside of work. And and maybe that's more normal than I thought. And to me, that's crazy. Like, I can't function that way. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah. Well, you're an anomaly. You're not like...
Yeah, and I didn't know that. Like, I didn't realize that. And I realized what she's explaining is normal, like, to most people. So she's like, literally, so we've been married for like 18 months. And it was like last week, she goes, yeah, I'm just like looking at you, realizing that I could, just like you, go do a job that I absolutely love. And she's like, I just never considered doing that before until I met you. And I'm like, it's been a year and a half, but we've been dating like 2 years before we got married. I'm like, 4 years in, it's like blossoming.
Yeah.
And so she's like, looking for jobs based on like unlimited PTO or in a field that she loves. And she heard I got unlimited PTO. And it's not like I'm on vacation all the time. It's just I don't have to count my PTO. And she's like, oh, you're so lucky. And I'm like, I don't use it because I love my work. Like I do go on vacation, but I love my job, so I don't use it all the time. And so, yeah, it's really, it's super interesting because I didn't realize how many people are like her.
Yeah. Well, the thing that Ariel actually still is an anomaly, I would say, because she's made her life outside of work a life that is enjoyable and worth living. Like she has fostered, I keep saying the word foster, she has worked hard to make her life outside of work a life that is enjoyable and fulfilling.
That was really important to her.
Where so many people don't do that. People work a job that they don't love, and then they go home, and their intake when they get home is just a bunch of garbage.
The next TV show,
The next thing, whatever it is, and then they go back, and people wonder like why they're so depressed and anxious because they're not making their bed. And Jordan Peterson has like a ton of stuff about that. But like, what?
Nick says something about it last night. I can't repeat it. It's really bad.
Nick said something?
Yeah. Not your brother.
Oh, not my brother. Okay.
The other guy, Nick.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Oh, man.
Well, do you ever have weeks like this with your wife where you'll have gone the whole week seeing her, but at the end of the week, you're like, I haven't seen you all week?
Yeah.
It's like...
We try really hard not to do that. But
right.
Yeah.
And you're like in bed, it's like Friday, and you're like, it's finally the weekend. You're like, how have you been?
Yeah.
I haven't heard from you all week, but I worked from home 5 days in a row. Mm-hmm. And so we'll hit those sometimes. And those are lives where if you do that, you wake up at 42 and you're like, how did I gain 50 pounds? I hate my wife. Like, my kids suck. I can't find happiness at work. Like, that's how that happens. And it's not by accident. It's by laziness. It's not paying attention to today.
Yeah. Unintentional.
Correct.
100%. Yeah. I love that quote. It's like, choose your hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loves
absolutely.
that.
It's so great. Like, life is going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like, do the thing that's going to make your life more fulfilling.
Mm-hmm. I like saying, have you heard of Les Brown? He's a motivational speaker. Or Eric Thomas, another one.
Motivation.
One of them said it this way, and it stuck with me since I was like 16. You didn't come this far to come this far.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so... Imagine doing 80% of a college degree, and we know kids like this.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm now thinking of the kid that you're mentoring. You didn't do 80% of a college degree to drop out in your last semester of senior year because you're like, you know what, school's not for me. No, you're an idiot and you're finishing this. You didn't go this far to quit, you dummy. Like, it's just character building at that point. And
Totally.
But we live in a world where it's like, it's not true to me. It's just, no. Finish the race, just get it over with, and then you can do something else. Yeah. But like, choose your hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
for wild. Sure. I mean, there was this, a couple of years ago, I was watching Inception.
Okay.
And at the beginning of the movie, there's this quote by like the old Asian guy. He says, "I'm an old man filled with regret."
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know why. For some reason, that clicked in my head of like, do you want to be an old man filled with regret of the things that you were too scared to try, or an old man filled with regret, like ashamed of the things that you did, when you knew they were wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and you chose to do the wrong thing instead of the right thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to get to the end of your life, even if it's tomorrow, like you get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And you're breathing for, like, the last couple seconds of your life. And that's probably going to be what you think about. Like, man, I wish I was just better.
Yeah.
I'm going to be laying there going, I should have started this podcast 10 years ago.
But I don't know. I would love to get hit by a bus and to be laying there going, man, God, like, thank you for, like, obviously, like, thank you for this life or whatever. But to be like, you know what? Like, I lived this life, I wanted to say to the fullest. I got to take that. I was about to say live life to the fullest. See you guys.
You're like,
Later.
cereal box.
But I don't think we'll think of any of that when we're laying there in our own pool of blood.
What'd you say?
We won't think any of that in our own pool of blood when we're laying there.
So,
we're going to be going, it's cold. And then lights out.
No, to be honest, like, what's weird is, like, sometimes I think about what it would be like to be dying and know calmly
That you're dying?
that you're dying, and just be like, this is it. Like, this is actually it.
Well,
and I think you're right. I think
bro,
I would think of that.
It's
If you had enough
100%
time.
what happens. Have
Yeah.
you watched like police shootings?
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah,
What do they say?
Yeah.
Every time.
They cry and then they're like, I should
And they're
have
like,
done
I'm
more.
dying, I'm dying.
Yeah, tell my mom I love her.
They're not like, this hurts, I'm cold.
yeah,
They're like, I'm dying, it's
they're-
over.
They're processing that they're dying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just crazy to think about that. Like, your whole life
Yeah.
really does flash before your eyes before you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big parts
The
for sure.
fragility of life becomes
What is that
unbelievably
dumb
real.
saying? I think I'm gonna butcher it. It's like youth is wasted on the young or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's like a circular statement because like our youth is wasted on the fact that we are young. I don't know how they say it exactly,
yeah,
but
the youth is wasted on the young. It's
Yeah.
the idea that the youth have no idea what they have.
totally.
Which is time.
And at 26, I'm beginning to realize that. I'm like, dang, I wish I was 19 again.
Bro.
At 26, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you could be 50 years old.
Yeah, I know.
You could be 70. You could
And
be
going,
80.
I wish I was.
You're 26 years old saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like how young.
I'm so thankful.
But dude, that's actually such a big pet peeve of mine. Was people say like they're 30 and they're old. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you have so much more life to live.
Gary Vee is so good at that. He's like, how old are you? And the guy's like, I'm 33. And he's like, you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
You're in the game.
Well, like, one thing that's interesting to me that people don't think about more is like look at your heroes, and like it's not all the time, but most of the time your heroes are like twice your age.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so why would you expect to be where this person is when they've spent 30 more years than you getting to where they are?
It's so annoying.
So like for
Yeah.
me, like I like one of my favorite film directors, commercial film directors, his name's Ryan Booth. Such an incredible director.
That name sounds familiar.
We love Ryan on the podcast.
Mr. Booth, if you're listening.
Yeah. But I look at his work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, my work looks nothing like his.
Yeah.
This guy's in his like upper 30s
Yeah.
or 40s.
Yeah.
He's been doing this since he was my age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like why would
Half
I
his life.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
why would I be where he is?
Yeah.
You know? But what if I could glean from what if I could stand on his shoulders in a way and glean from the things that he's experienced, the wisdom that he has to impart from a distance. I
His
don't know
ceiling
him.
is your floor, right?
Yeah, like I don't know him. Like I'm just watching YouTube videos and going on Instagram lives and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But like like what if when I'm his age, I've accomplished more because I've stood on his shoulders.
Yeah. Right.
Like I don't know, I just think it's a really cool concept. But to be okay, like, and it's kind of adds to the fact of like God has you right where He wants you. Truly, at every moment in life, even the parts where you're sitting like in your guilt of the things that you're ashamed of doing, that's exactly where He wants you to feel the guilt and then make a decision
Right.
to keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It is really interesting to think about, like, maybe even some of the trials that the Lord has you going through and just how He works in those to pull you closer to Him, and just being able to have the mature view of looking back and being like, oh, I am grateful for that. Like, whatever it ended up being. And yeah, that is really interesting.
Dude, Nick's been saying this for so long, my older brother. Not Anscombe or whatever his last name is.
Yeah.
But
We now are in a state where we have to clarify
Yeah,
because
exactly.
there's
Yeah.
two very different
But he
things.
says, and I'm sure he took this from someone, but like if you pray for what God wants, the answer is always yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I just, it's just the truth.
Yes.
It's just the truth. Like, and especially like with what we heard today, like
Yeah, man.
maybe you should just stop praying so much for stuff and for God to change your perspective on the things that you want.
Yep.
Like when the Lord prunes good things from your life.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Totally.
Or like how obvious it is that Jesus wants us to bear fruit because it literally glorifies His Father. So it's like, oh, just pray for that then. If you like, Lord, help me to bear fruit.
For sure. And then when
Answer.
like sin is like revealed in your life, because it will be revealed, like
Yeah.
do something about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think you and I have talked about this before. Like
Yeah.
if God says no to like a prayer, I believe He's doing one of two things always. He is saying like not yet, or he is preparing your heart to want something else.
Yeah, right.
So he's giving you, so like the no ultimately always turns into a yes if you're obedient to God. It's either like he prepares you to be ready for the thing that he will say yes to, or he will change your desires for something better.
Right.
Which is just, I don't know, such a great way to think about it, I think.
Yeah, no, I think the scripture we went over today affirms that too. Like, is the desire, like whatever it is that you want, like it'll be done for you. Yeah. Even if it means that he changes your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's generally what I'm praying for. I'm like, change my heart.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
It's the greatest prayer you could ever pray. Because like, what if that job is like not good for you, or what if that thing that you want, or whatever it is, like, what if God is calling you to perform like a little bit of the Abraham and Isaac story of like being willing to like sacrifice the thing that you love.
Yeah.
I feel like Jesus is always asking, like, what are you willing to give up for me? Always.
As he shows you his hands, he's like, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Totally. Yeah. And as long as you're like willing to like do that, then I feel like often he does give you the desires of your heart, because your heart has been purified to a place where you're ready to actually receive the thing. Or I don't know. It's fascinating. But it takes like a radical belief to actually see that through, which is why I think so many people don't see it through. It's because people will always want what they want.
Right.
Yeah. Or like if you're told that you can't have it, now you just want it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's the work of the Holy Spirit that changes your desires.
You know what bothers me so bad is like this. It's like this prosperity gospel idea of like, you pray for something, and God's not saying no because he doesn't want to give it to you. He's going to give you something better, and it's said in such a human way of better. So
like
let me illustrate this. Yeah. God, I'm praying for a Toyota Camry, and God's not saying no, so he cannot give it to you. He wants to give you a Cadillac. It's a Tesla. No. God's going to give you a Prius because gas is going to $9 a gallon. You're not stoked about the Prius, but a year later, gas goes in triples, and now you're suddenly thankful for the Prius.
God's going to give you a treadmill because you're 400 pounds!
No, but like...
That's better.
Just the way to illustrate that is like this better is like based on whose perspective, and it's like this prosperity gospel is always saying, oh, God's gonna give you something better. No, he's gonna just give you the right thing. You know, and by definition that would technically be better, but not how you're measuring it. Like maybe better is not just the answered prayer. Maybe it's just simply a no.
Yeah.
And I just hate the idea that like if you pray for something, it's not that you're not gonna get it. It's either going to happen later or you're going to get something better. Maybe it's just no. And I think like people are duped into that all the time.
Yeah. I think it's from a culture or whatever the word is of people who don't actually believe that God is God.
Right.
Yeah.
That they believe that they can still like have control of their life. But I feel like it's just a better way to live, to believe that like God is completely in control, like he holds my life in his hands, like just like he holds all the waters of the earth in the divot of his hands, like he holds my life in his hands.
Yeah.
Like what if I just like submitted to him and see?
I think that scares people more than they're Christians included than they're willing to admit.
But how much scarier is the other option?
Yeah,
right? Like
when you boil it down, for sure.
Yeah, or to like want to be in control. Like, when have you ever felt more peace trying to do it your way than when you actually gave up control?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like irresistible grace, right? Like people are like, no, I should be able to like deny God's gift. Like he can't force me to love him. People have a really hard time saying that like God doesn't need our permission to save us, right? And that's how I word it. I go, God doesn't need my permission to save me from the depths of hell. Like if he wants me to go to heaven, I have no choice. Yeah. People don't like that level of sovereignty with God because it scares them for any being, because we can't comprehend his goodness. Like a perfect being, it's hard for us to comprehend. And so people who would disagree with my like theological stance, they would say, no, that's not true love. Like he's infringing on like my love. Like it's not a real relationship. I think it's because it scares people to have a God who has that much sovereignty, who doesn't need my permission.
Yeah.
And I think that freaks people out.
Yeah.
Truly. I think that's the biggest, if I could boil it down to one point, that is the reason why there's a Calvinism and an Arminian debate to begin with. It is that they're scared of the level of sovereignty that a God could have, because then it truly has nothing to do with them. If you make mankind really small, you make God really big, and that's probably the heart of that entire debate.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my problem with Calvinism, though, is you have to, like, you say yes. You did say yes. God did not force your vocal cords. And I would consider myself more like of a Calvinist than an Arminianist or whatever you call it. My question is always, and I feel like some people hate when I ask this.
Yeah.
Why can't God, is God not big enough to be both?
Oh, like both frameworks?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I think
So,
there's...
like, what if God did have, he wrote out a whole blueprint for your life. He knows, he's actually been there. He's omnipresent. He's outside of space and time. So he's with the future you.
Yeah.
What if that's true, but also he gave you the free will to make your own decisions and you're not God?
Yeah, I think we have the will and ability to make our own decisions. It's just that free will is totally misunderstood, I think, in the argument of grace. So it's our will is either enslaved to sin or enslaved to righteousness. So it's technically never free. So the way to illustrate that would be you put like a plate of carrots in a room, and you put a bunny and a vulture, and you just like let them hang out. The bunny is the only one who's going to eat those carrots. He just has no choice. And if you put that bunny in the same room with carrots and meat, he's never going to go eat the meat. So his will is just conditioned him to make that decision.
It's his nature.
Yeah, so it's his nature. His nature drives his will. So I do think that God allows us to have a free will, but our nature determines what our will is going to pick. And so that's why we're not robots, but that's also why we're screwed, because our will, influenced by our sin nature, is always going to say, not God, not today.
Yeah.
So that's how I approach the Arminian, discussion when they say, so God just wants a bunch of robots, and they always say robots, and it's like, well, reversed. But
and it's, I don't know. I think extremists on both sides are just really annoying, to be honest.
I totally agreed.
But to think that God like doesn't know what's happening, I think is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, like, it frustrates me when they'll
To
say
think
things.
that God is learning,
That's where it's
Why would
so
you ever
wrong.
pray to that? Like,
I don't know, that
It doesn't make sense. It kind of breaks the fabrics of reality for a God who created everything to still be learning. It's crazy.
I would much rather believe a God that is where I want to go.
Yeah.
Like that, I believe that God is with me 10 minutes from now because he lives outside of space and time because he's God.
KJ said something that was like really eye-opening for me. He goes, he's arguing with his buddy Dan, who's an Arminian, more so, I believe. And Dan was like, arguing that, he chooses. He responded to the call, right? And
Everyone did.
Right.
Everyone did who did.
That we're all drowning and Jesus throws the life raft and Jesus does all the work, pulls us in, but we had to grab it. Okay, so let's take that framework. If God could just decide to save you instead of allowing you to have the choice to save, he still chose to allow other humans to technically not be saved. Like, he's not off the hook because he's still damning them to hell.
Yeah.
So KJ was saying, and Arminians must not like to admit it, but whether you have an Arminian view or a Calvinistic view, technically speaking, God is still on the hook for who goes to hell because he is judging them and then sentencing them. He's the judge. He's on the hook for the judgment because he's got to issue it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the way I like to say it's a little insulting. It's a little strong, but God doesn't need he doesn't need you to justify his own actions. He's got it. He's fine. He doesn't need you to explain or protect his decision making. He's fine on his own. But I think that's again rooted in people are scared to give someone else that much control over where they feel like, oh, it's all me.
Yeah. For sure.
we really would we would love the idea to say that even just a little bit, I was involved in my own salvation by responding to the call. I think it's beautiful for someone to get to the point where they go, I didn't even grab the life raft. I just think that's like a beautiful place to reach. It doesn't have to be right. I'm not an extremist anymore. I used to be.
Yeah.
Because it's a pointless, like at the end of the day, it's a very circular argument.
Yeah.
It doesn't get us anywhere. I just think it's a beautiful place to get to, is where you're like, I don't even have to be involved in my own salvation.
Yeah.
It's a hard place to get to, though.
Yeah. I hear that, but then I would wrestle with that personally.
Yeah.
Because then I hear or I read verses like in Ephesians where God calls us his glorious inheritance. That's why I like that whole saying, like, preach the gospel, die, be forgotten. I'm like, Jesus is not forgetting about you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like in the context of the world, but it is kind of like a blanket statement. He calls you his glorious inheritance. Like, he wants to be with you.
Right.
And he wants you to walk the steps. Like, he wants you to stop drinking the milk and eat the meat.
Right.
Yeah. You're doing it. You're picking the fork up.
Yep.
But yeah. You thought you would consider yourself an extremist at one point? I do have to go in like 3 minutes.
That's fine.
Yeah, we can end now.
Yeah. I was a staged, caged Calvinist.
Really?
I was ruining friendships and family, and I was like, you're going to hell. It's all your... and you have nothing to do with it.
Amazing.
There's nothing you can do.
I'm just like, God is sovereign, and it's just like, I started with him. I was like...
I told him I was going to prove him wrong.
I remember calling him going, you're going to heaven and you have nothing to do with it, and you should just be so lucky. And I just was like, it's the stage of Calvinism where I was like happy to have my face in the dirt. I was so humbled. But the way I shared it, it was so aggressive.
Yeah.
And it was more damaging.
Yeah.
When true Calvinism, when you get past that ridiculous staged, caged Calvinist where everyone's pointing and laughing at you, when you get past that, it should do nothing more than bring you to humility.
For sure.
And it did. Just in the beginning, I didn't know how to handle it because I thought it was the most exciting truth. Because for me, it was a good news. I can understand why people receiving that going, bro, you're just condemning me and I hate you for it. Like, you're just a jerk. So yeah, I was an extremist for like 4 months.
That sounds...
I'd never known of the term Calvinism before. I didn't even know what it was. I'd like stumbled upon it by accident. So yeah, it was a wild walk. But man, thanks for coming on the show. We spent nearly 3 hours talking.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was good.
I would love to do it again.
Yeah.
I would love... we'll talk about it after we cut.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
This has been great.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thanks.